Welcome to Bears Country Podcast. We are presented by BetUS. Go check out BetUS.com, every sports bettor's favorite sports book. They have a bunch of great perks as well as exceptional service. Use the link in the description right there and sign up to get 125% signing bonus. Place your sports bets with BetUS. And if you're going to start betting this season, for the Super Bowl, please use that link. It'll really help out the channel. And PJ,
if you're gonna bet, please bet responsibly.
Thank you, my man. I've as people kind of know, I have kind of been on a cliff the last couple of days, and we'll get into that in a minute. PJ,
More
Walt?
like Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, I didn't have anything high enough to jump off of.
Man, golly.
It looks like Foster might be having some technical difficulties, so he'll be hopping in here soon. PJ, Walt, great to see you guys again, and our guest tonight, Joe Mandel. How are you guys doing?
I am doing
great.
Lovely.
And
I'll see you guys.
I'll give you the in shorty real quick. It's Mandel.
Oh, I said Mandel, didn't I?
You said it wrong.
I know it's Mandel. I always think Howie Mandel.
Right. I think I told you this, but I got into a club in Vegas once by saying that my uncle was coming later. It worked.
Nice.
But he never came.
Nice.
It's not like they're gonna come find you. Hey, your uncle never came. You gotta go, buddy.
It's like, he got busy. Sorry. Too many germs.
Joe, it's great to have you back on the show again. We had a lot of fun with you guys last time.
Yeah, likewise, man. I love being here.
Love having you. Had a lot of fun with you at Aldo's house.
Yeah.
Before the Raiders game. And I know how these guys. Yeah. Let's not laugh anymore.
No more laughing. Sorry.
I know how PJ and Walt feel about this
That's
current
right,
state of affairs. I want to know how you feel about this current state of affairs.
Well, I'm happy that Getsy's gone. That was the first line of business, but I, for the life of me, can't wrap my head around the fact that Flus is still around. Like, I get it in the long term. Like, if you're going to draft a new QB, you're probably going to want a new coach. The fact that they didn't get a new coach tells me they're probably not getting a new QB. There's a lot of value with that first pick. Doesn't surprise me one bit. But you guys saw, like, the demeanor in the locker room this top of the year and the lack of reaction to what was going on. Like, yeah, they made some trades and they got better on defense, but does that credit go to Flus? Does that credit go to Poles? I'll leave the jury out on that one, but it tells me everything I need to know is that Flus is coming back. They're going to ride. I think they're going to ride for at least another year of Justin. They'll probably draft a QB later on. And this defense is just going to have to improve more, and they're going to have to draft and get that first pick is worth a lot. Get a lot of capital for it and get better and see if Flus can be the coach you think he is. Otherwise, there's some big names coming out in the draft in the coming years. Arch Manning, potentially one of those names further down the line, but more to come when we get there. It's a really long-winded answer, but there you go.
That's actually not as long-winded of an answer as I'm probably going to have. So I'm going to let somebody else take the stage on this. Walt,
Before we go any further, let me acknowledge the chat real fast. Cliff Victoria, thank you for joining us. Illinois Jones, Heidi Zimmerman, Life of Mary Podcast, Foster Covers, Rick Gonzalez, Mr. Mayhem, Mo Bierman, Zach Sullivan, In the Huddle, Chicago.
Thank you for joining.
Welcome back.
Good to see you, DVD.
Stephen Z, Ron Winarski, and Keen Buka World. Guys, thank you very much for joining us. I know I also sent a thing out on Facebook for those of you watching on Facebook. Thank you for joining us as well. Hey,
Illinois,
Foster, glad you made it.
Illinois Jones. Don't forget about Illinois Jones. That's I've seen Illinois Jones before. Ron Winarski.
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
You did. Excellent. Foster, your beard is no longer gray. It looks like you got the melted plastic out of it. How you feeling tonight?
One of them days, man. I don't know, man. There's so much going on with the Bear stuff. I have honestly been behind because we were gonna have Joe open the show, and I was gonna come in, Joe. And you know what I was gonna say, dude? Like, just because I had almost died and I'm in the hospital, my house burned down, doesn't mean you can have the show, dude. But tonight you can.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Somebody Big Just Died with Mike North and Joe Mandel. Foster somehow is back from the dead. We am glad he could join us today. Foster, how are you, man?
Brilliant.
Well done.
I'm hanging in, man. I'm good for another 800. They tell me.
All right, that's the important part.
No, I was listening to you talk, Joe, and you're right, dude. It looks like I think Fields is coming back, and they're going to trade that pick and build the team around him, which is we've all said it for how long. Just keep building, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
I came in and shut the whole show down just by making an appearance, right?
You
Not
did.
at all. Not at all.
Everybody shut the hell up. What the hell? Somebody say something.
But I do want to add, there was a question on the table for Walt, so I did cut him off by acknowledging the chat. Walt, my apologies. Please go ahead with your answer.
Oh no, that's fine. I was going to say, Shorty wants me to go over this whole thing. I'm going to defer to you and Foster to start, PJ, and I'll even let Dan go, and then I'll gladly, go over what I think.
Oh, you want to sit back and take notes, huh?
Oh, I got notes already.
Yeah.
Then let's hear your notes, man. Let's hear them. You got notes. I got nothing, dude, other than what I got in this because I haven't paid attention the last 4 or 5 days.
All right. Specifically, what was your question, Shorty? I want to make sure I answer it correctly.
How are you feeling about the Bears firing Getsy and not Flus, and retaining for the most part, the offensive staff is gone.
Okay.
So how do you feel about that, Walt, and not getting rid of Flus? And just if you're going to start over on offense, I would think you would want to start over on defense or on the entire team as well. The entire head coach, get rid of everybody and start over. So I want to hear your thoughts, Walt.
Well, I mean, not necessarily. You don't have to go a complete blanket firing of everyone. I think that's, if anything, that's telling me you're not really looking at what the actual problems are. So you're going to find good things and you're going to find bad things with your coaches. And the good things you have to retain, and the bad things you have to cut out. It's like anything else. So, the defensive side of the ball, definitely after Allen Williams left, we saw a general upturn. The addition of Montez Sweat was, amazing in terms of, reinvigorating our pass rush, which, was anemic at best. And the whole thing with Getsy is it was the most logical move you could make at the time. Now, the entire offensive staff wasn't fired. They kept Chris Morgan and they kept Jim Dre. Now, Jim Dre is the tight ends coach for the Chicago Bears. And if you watch the evolution of Cole Kmet, you can see that in terms of a positional coach, he generally can do his job. Because, like I said, I was out on Cole Kmet last year. And then I saw his production this year, and I said, well, maybe this guy's finally getting coached the correct way. And we're kind of seeing that. And the same thing with Chris Morgan. Now, another thing with keeping those two guys in line, and I know you were saying, we're just going to reset the whole offense. You're not really resetting the whole offense. Yes, you're bringing in a different offensive coordinator, but you can keep him in the same scheme. This is football, guys. We're not reinventing the wheel here. So these schemes aren't, drastically different between someone that runs maybe a Shanahan West Coast style offense to another person that runs a similar West Coast style of offense. So, the difference is mainly the terminology used in the huddle, so to speak. So what does a shift this way mean? What does a shift this way mean? You could bring another person in to head up the group, and he goes, okay, well, if I want to do this, what did you guys say in terms of, if I want to have the guys shift this way, what is your terminology for this? And then you just follow that same, that same layout. The framework is there. If they got rid of everyone on the staff, I'd say, yeah, they're more likely going to reset the offense keeping it in that same, frame of what they want, but with just all different people. So it's not going to be a complete reset. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. Sure.
So where do you think they're going to find a coordinator that's going to run a similar offense, and the terminology would remain vaguely enough the same?
I mean, they're out there. I mean, they're interviewing 2 guys now, or planning to. The guy out of Seattle, which I don't really understand why he's taking a lot of heat from his fans. He only had Geno Smith. What he did up there is pretty damn good. And then what's the guy from San Fran, Kubiak? I think his name that just came through a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
So
Clint.
they're definitely out there putting their feelers and getting a short list together, which I think as fans, I would be elated to see that. Yesterday they came out and said Luke Getsy's fired. Today they're already lining up guys to replace him, and they're getting the ball rolling. So I mean, what's not to like about that? So I don't get the negativity of Bears fans nowadays. I mean, yes, is Flus the best head coach in the NFL? Absolutely not. Does he do some head scratchers? Of sure, but he built a culture on this team to where you're going through the muck, you're down 0-4, your locker room doesn't break. And it's not like we watched in with the Raiders where they just gave up on their coach. And, the GM went away, the coach went away, they brought in Antonio Pierce, and they won a few games.
Yep.
So it's not just about wins and losses. That's what I was trying to tell you about Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh is great. He has his win-loss record is immaculate. But I'm not looking at just that. I have to look at everything when I evaluate the coach. Same thing with the quarterback too. So, and like I was trying to say in a group chat earlier, I don't remember when it was. It was later. It was earlier in the week. You're looking at a guy like Justin Fields. You start there. Then you back it out. You look at the line. You look at the wide receivers. You look at what's going on there. Then you go back even further. You look at the coaches, the positional coaches, to the actual gameplay, to the quarterback. Then go back even further again to look at the offensive coordinator, to the positional coaches, to the players, and so on and so forth. That's how you evaluate people.
Yeah.
It's not just a knee jerk. We're gonna kick this guy out, bring in Jim Harbaugh, and everything's gonna be saved.
DJ,
I think.
Go ahead. Finish your thought, Walt.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I honestly feel like we can win a Super Bowl with this team and this coaching staff.
I would say this: when I listen to DJ Moore describe how he felt about the play calling and the plays over the last few weeks, and his overall sentiment was, we didn't get the big play, where we kind of didn't do as much as we could have done within this offense. So that's telling me that he's not liking what he was getting out of Getsy. So then when you heard other players echo those same sort of sentiments, then they had the end of the year interview with the players. And then they're talking to those players and they're like, so I'm like, Poles as well as Eberflus is getting a real heartfelt conversation from these players. And I'm sure they're telling them, hey, Getsy is not the guy. I mean, they're not saying it publicly, but in that meeting that they had, the end of the year meeting, they're really letting them have it. Because even I was watching Jalen Johnson. He says, yeah, they foster a atmosphere in that room when they having that end of the year interview, to where they say, hey, we're asking you this question, speak your truth. So it's unfiltered how they really feel. Next day, Getsy's getting fired. Yep. So that tells me that, hey, they was like, no, we ain't feeling this guy. Now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And real quick, PJ, I was just going to say, this is a guy that also badmouthed Justin Fields mid-season, and all these guys saw that. All these guys on this team know that that this offensive coordinator was blaming Justin Fields for a lot of this stuff. And then they're backing up their guys saying, listen, this isn't the guy. These are not the plays.
Exactly.
We knew mid-season that Getsy wasn't the guy, and I think that whole locker room knows it too.
Right. So then, you're hearing, to Walt's point, the first couple of people that they're talking about interviewing to replace him. You got a guy who runs this similar system in up there in Seattle. He had some
Shane Waldron.
success. Yes, with Geno Smith, who people thought was a bust. He turned him out to be in the early conversations for MVP. So he had some success there. Clint Kubiak. Now Kubiak's father was a great play caller. I mean, he's been a great play caller, and this guy himself, he has experience calling plays up there in Minnesota with Kirk Cousins. So you're seeing the same system they're trying to work with because they kept their offensive line coach. So they like going to run basically they're trying to run the same system, but they want to have a different type play caller. So you're building that, which leans to me is they're not trying to disrupt what they're building or what they have built with Fields and what they have built with the rest of this team. So I'm in a better place now because as we always talking during the year was, man, Getsy, yeah, his scripted plays, yeah, they look great. But after his scripted plays, when he has to try to adjust, he doesn't do so much of a good job of it. So now you looking at guys who has had experience calling plays, has had some success with it, and I think the needle's pointing up. Now that's just the offensive side. Now on the defensive side with Eberflus, to a man, everyone's talking about how he has maintained the locker room, kept the guys engaged. Only one I heard that wasn't all in on Flus seemed like was a Walker. Seemed like he felt kind of like iffy. But everyone else, they were like, man, Eberflus, we like the culture and everything. Even with Fields, you hear every player talking about how much they like Fields. So it's like, I think to keep the status quo going, you're building something there, and I think they're doing the right thing.
Foster?
It is what it is. We've talked about Getsy all season long, man. All season long. He's come up every week, just about, that I can think of. So we all knew that. He's gone. Exactly what needed to be done. Keeping Flus, that's Poles' move. That's his decision. I'm a big Poles guy, man. So I'm going to trust in him. I like the way that as soon as Shane Waldron was available, he jumped on it. We've got to get an offensive coordinator set here too right now. It's got to be somebody that we can work within the system. Just like I think you were mentioning, Walt, the terminology and the system is comparable to our system. It should be nothing for the offensive players to pick it up if Waldron is indeed the guy. I mean, there's probably going to be 5 or 6 guys that, in my mind, that they're going to bring in. But it's, as far as what was said and done the other day, that's done, man. We've got to look forward because we can sit here and nitpick it all we want. We know where this defense is at. We know what the problems are on offense. Now fix the damn things. I mean it. I had some quote the other day. We're in one of the greatest positions because we have more options available to us. Even though Flus is staying, and I'm not saying that's good or bad, because there's always a first. I mentioned it last week or the other day. In '69, there was a guy, Chuck Noll, just a coach, that became a head coach. 12, 15 seasons and 3 winning Super Bowls. So we don't know exactly what Flus even is yet. Would I have liked to have maybe brought in Harbaugh or somebody that's experienced and has shown it? Yes, but that decision wasn't made. So Poles is sticking with Flus, and now we have to rebuild the offensive coaching. Period. I mean, those 2 guys are being kept. I believe there's a different type of contractual obligation that Poles mentioned in his press conference. So they knew those 2 guys were staying. Whether it's Komet or not that you're talking about, it's something contractual. Unless somebody correct me if I'm wrong, because Poles mentioned in his press conference. As far as that goes, man, it's get on this stuff now. We've got to jump ahead because a lot of these other teams are looking for coaches, and they haven't even begun to start looking at the positions beyond the head coach. So we're fortunate to be in this position. We should virtually get the pick of the litter if we so desire. So I like Waldron. I like Kubiak, Pep Hamilton.
Clint Kubiak would be a dynamite hire, I think.
Man, Pete, you probably remember when he was quarterback for the Broncos. His father. I'm talking about
Oh,
Gary.
oh yeah, Gary. Yes.
So
Yes.
that whole family, they're all in football. All the kids. One of them's a scout. Excuse me. We know one's with Briscoe, and the other one is assistant coach somewhere. I don't remember where, but it's in their blood, man. And they're all good at dealing with the aspects of football. That entire family.
And Clint is the passing game coordinator for the 49ers.
There you go.
Passing game. What do the Bears need to focus on? Their passing game. What did the 49ers do this year with Mr. Irrelevant? They did a lot of stuff through the air. Just saying.
Yeah. I agree.
That's a good just saying too.
I feel a little bit differently. You make a good point, Joe, about something I was going to say. I totally freaking forgot. We'll get back. About Getsy, and damn it.
And talking about Fields.
I was going to say, and it might come back to me when I'm talking, or it might come back to you, that for me it would be fire the entire coaching staff and start all over again, or go get Jim Harbaugh and do that and go get Jim Harbaugh, because I think that Jim Harbaugh would have loved to work with Justin Fields, and he would have like completely maximized his talents. And since that did not happen, them now firing Getsy, to me, it seems like if you want to have all this hope in the quarterback, and you can say, okay, well, the quarterback played so much better after, at the second half of the season last year, and he played so much better after the injury this season. Well, then why can't that same credit be given to Getsy, albeit in the very few shining moments that he had? But there were moments, and why couldn't have Getsy just built off of the moments? And this is not my 100% opinion. This is just me looking at both sides, and I'm trying to brainstorm this whole thing and think of the devil's advocate, pontificate, if you will. So why wouldn't you maybe just take a chance on Getsy can get better as a play caller by learning from his better games last year, and by B, go getting a consultant that you can help him, that's been around the league for a while, that maybe you can just invest a little bit more into him, because that way you're not blowing up the consistency on offense and forcing your quarterback to learn a third offense in 4 seasons. And for me, if you're going to force the quarterback to learn a 4th offense in 3 seasons, let's just go right back to the last quarterback that we had that had this much potential in our eyes. Jay Cutler. We traded a boatload of picks for him. Ron Turner, first season. Ron Turner got 27 touchdowns and 26 interceptions out of him. And they fired Ron Turner because of 26 interceptions. What about the 27 touchdowns that haven't happened since? Why not have just invested into Cutler and Ron Turner working together another year or two? So now you put Cutler into this perpetual motion of, well, we're going to get the right offensive coordinator this time. And look, they're good friends. Oh, we're going to get his best friend wide receiver, Marshall. Now we're starting the same shit with Justin Fields, where he's in his 4th year in his 3rd offense, and we're just going to fire Getsy. If you're going to fire Getsy, to me, that means fire everybody. And if you're not going to fire everybody because Flus is such an amazing head coach, is all in as I have been on Justin at the start of the season. Yes, it's waned. I have come back and forth and changed my mind. It happens. I'm human, just like everybody else is allowed to do. Opinions change. I would have been comfortable with either A, Getsy staying for another year and them getting an offensive consultant to help him to grow within the offense. So now Justin is in year 3 with Getsy, but now Justin is learning a new offense. That says to me, blow the whole thing up as far as trying to get this quarterback to learn blah, blah, blah. Go after, you have the number 1 pick in the draft. Justin Fields was the 11th pick. Caleb Williams is going to be the first pick. You don't get that many chances at the first pick in the draft with a quarterback who is unequivocally the first pick in the draft. So if you're not going to hang your balls out and put them on the table with the Jim Harbaugh hire and let him decide what to do with that, in my opinion, it would have been turning Justin Fields into a Pro Bowler and a Super Bowl champion. But since that did not happen, now you're going to blow it all up with a new offensive coordinator. I would think, in my own personal opinion right now, it might change. I'm human. I have opinions just like everybody else. They do change. They're allowed to change. I'm not a flip-flopper because I changed my mind. If you don't fucking change your mind, then you're not human. So let me finish. I would trade Fields, go after Caleb Williams with the first pick in this draft. I know you're giving up a boatload of picks for the future, but if you fail with a lame duck head coach and an offensive coordinator that comes in and cannot get out of Justin Fields there's going to be a whole nother infighting war next year. If the new OC cannot get out of Justin Fields what everyone thinks that he can do, the whole staff's going to be fired, and we're going to be sitting here with in our hand again going, well, and what happens if Caleb Williams becomes the player that we're sitting there going, damn, we could have had that guy. We could have had that guy. I'm done.
All right. My question is this. So you're saying that only Jim Harbaugh can get the best out of Fields?
In my opinion, yes, because I think that because it would have been a brand new staff coming in. I think he would have chosen Fields and rode with him for at least the next 2 years. By then, he would have known that he was getting something out of him. And then they would have re-signed him into a big contract. I don't think that by replacing the offensive coordinator with a lame duck head coach, you're going to get the best out of Justin. Who's the offensive coordinator going to be?
So if you bring in these other coordinators, the two that we're talked about so far, and they come in here and they bring out the best in Fields, I mean, what's to suggest that they wouldn't? What's
history?
What history that they failed somewhere else by bringing out the best in a different quarterback?
Bears history.
We're not talking about, but we're talking specifically about these guys and their ability to coach, because that's what you're relying on with Jim Harbaugh, his ability to coach. So
because he's an elite coach.
Okay,
he's going to find the elite coaches.
So with these guys in the job that they have done in their other places, they have been able to bring out certain aspects in their quarterbacks, be it Kirk Cousins or Geno Smith or even Purdy. They have been able to bring out certain things. So Jim Harbaugh is not the only person in the world that can bring out the best in Fields.
He is not, but you're relying on a defensive coordinator, head coach, who now is starting over with both coordinators in his third season. And you're gonna expect him to go hire the right guy that's going to continue the development of Justin Fields?
Yes, you're going to depend on him to do it based upon what they have done in their other places. And furthermore, he also not going to change the whole system because these two guys are running that same system. So there's a system that Justin has been running for the last 2 years. The players has also been running that same system for the last 2 years. So now you're going to bring in another guy who's bringing in that same system, but just doing it a different sort of way that can improve on what Getsy's shortcomings were. How is that so tragically worse than where you have to go get a new quarterback who now has to learn a system that he's never learned before? Also, not to mention the intangibles that Justin brings as far as leadership, as far as being a workaholic, all these other good things. Let's just talk about the football aspect of things. Outside of what's his name? The coach for USC, Riley, is that his name?
Lincoln Riley.
Outside of Riley and Caleb Williams being in that system, how do you know he can be in another system and that works? Because here's the thing about Lincoln Riley's system. Kyler Murray played in that system. He played in that system. And then when Caleb Williams did not play in that bowl game, the quarterback that replaced him threw for 6 touchdowns. So is it really that Caleb Williams is that much better, or is it the fact that the system itself brings out a certain aspect of his game?
It's not. It has nothing. Listen, your assumptions are the same as mine, PJ. Your assumptions are that they're gonna hire another offensive coordinator that's gonna run the same system. I don't know where the hell they're gonna find that guy with a lame duck coach. My assumptions are that they're not. They're going to go find a veteran head coach or a veteran offensive coordinator that runs a different offense. And when they do that, you're asking him to learn an entirely new offense.
The two that they have already that they're linked to runs the system. Those two run that system. It's the same system.
Which are who?
They're
the guy from Seattle and Kubiak. They both run the same system.
Run the same system, Shorty. It's pretty obvious. There is 5 or 6 guys too. Am I correct or am I wrong, man?
Well,
I don't know the list of guys.
I'm just saying the two that they're being linked to so far. The two that they've been linked to. Yep. The guy in Seattle. What's his name again, Foster?
Shane Waldron.
Shane Waldron. He runs that system. Kubiak. He runs that system. They both run that same system. So that's what I'm saying. You're not changing a whole new offense. You're going to tweak it a little bit because of their own nuances to it, but it's the same system.
And that's telling me that they're sticking with Fields. At least,
yeah,
that's the vibe that I get.
Right?
And Shorty, let me dive into what you said about.
I just want to point out that was so funny. Like PJ was so amped up there that he hit like a high note, like somebody grabbed his nutsack. He's like, it's in the same system.
Yeah. It was you.
From underneath my desk, Shorty dog. Oh.
He grabbed you through the computer screen. No, I just wanted to say about Caleb, like how you said they should use a pick on Caleb Williams. And I'm not going to shit all over your thoughts because you're totally valid. One thing I do want to say is I think what this year's NFL playoffs has taught us is that you don't need that top tier quarterback. I mean, you got guys like Joe Flacco, Baker Mayfield, all on playoff teams. Dak Prescott, who wasn't a top draft pick. Tua Tagovailoa. Sure, there are first-round draft
Lamar
picks.
Jackson.
and yes, there's
Mr. Irrelevant.
Right, but then you do have some first-round picks. I mean, you got Jared Goff, you got Matthew Stafford, you got Mahomes, who wasn't that's a whole other thing we don't want to talk about. We'll forget about that. But Jalen Hurts, all non-first round picks. You got a guy like Michael Penix Jr. who's going to fall because of injury concerns. He's going to fall because of his performance against Michigan. There's odds that the Bears could get a receiver in round 1 and they could maybe wrap around and get a Penix Jr. I'm not saying that's what they should do.
I'm sorry. No disrespect to any lefties out there. I started off a lefty and then I became a righty as I got older. And now I'm back to a lefty when I jerk off. Okay. But lefty quarterbacks just do nothing for me. Yeah.
If you can only jerk off lefty, you're lefty, dude. I don't care who you think you're fooling.
I got to hold the phone in the right hand. You know, it's a sequence.
Scorey just uses 2 hands. That's
Ken Stabler,
yes.
Steve Young, Dan Pastorini.
No, Name me 3 Hall of Fame left-handed quarterbacks.
Ken Stabler.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Young.
Uh-huh. Okay, that's it. So
we're not done yet.
Lefty quarterbacks.
Sid Luckman.
Sid Luckman?
Yeah.
Actually, there's only 2 in the Hall of Fame, and that's Steve Young and Ken Stabler.
Thank you.
Well, there's other quarterbacks that have done it, so it's not impossible.
So I mean, I get Cade McNown and PTSD from lefties, man.
Yeah.
And I don't no disrespect. Like I said, I jerk off left-handed. We're all good.
They're saying they can draft another quarterback. They don't have to take Caleb Williams early, and then you can get all the draft capital back.
Esiason.
He's not a Hall of Famer.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, there's not very many of them. First of all, but
there's only 2.
I'm just saying there's not very many.
I got to correct you, PJ, because Sid Luckman's a righty, dude.
Hey.
No
number sewing play.
Not tonight.
Out there.
He's a righty, dude.
Tonight.
He's a righty, number 42. They showed him making the exact throw Mahomes made like last year or some shit.
Foster, you're supposed to have my back, man.
I do want to question your logic a little bit here, Shorty. You were talking about Justin Fields and Caleb Williams in terms of their draft position. I was trying to figure out, you're saying that Caleb Williams is better just on the sheer fact that he may go number 1 and Justin Fields went 11? I mean, because there's no guarantee Caleb Williams is going to go number 1 overall this year.
There's
nothing's guaranteed. It's a high chance, but nothing's guaranteed.
I mean,
I want to get back to what
you are correct. It's not guaranteed. It's most likely. If you looked at the percentages, let me ask you this: if you ran the Bears scenario,
let's not answer the question. Hold on, man. He asked you a specific question.
Okay.
Well, there's 2 parts to it. So answer part 1, and I'll give you part 2, and we'll move on.
Okay.
Oh, it's being PJ now with the 27 points.
2.
Oh,
yeah, PJ's getting better, man. Look, he's got it down from 27 to 2.
I can tell you who's.
Shorty, do you remember the question?
No.
You guys want to know who's going to draft Caleb Williams number 1 overall when we trade the pick? I'll tell you right now.
Tell us.
The Commanders with new head coach Bill Belichick for the Washington Commanders.
Oh God.
Well,
I agree because that's the deal we want, Bill. We want their picks.
But hold on now.
Go look at what they got.
I'm not going to let Shorty get out of this one. Walt, go ahead and ask Shorty the question again because yeah, he tried to get out of it. Don't let him get out of it. Go ahead, Walt.
Hey, Foster, did I tell you about the other day when I?
Yeah.
All right, so I'll give you both parts, so you can just answer them both right away.
Right-handed?
So the first part was based on your logic. You're saying that Caleb Williams is inherently a better quarterback without actually seeing him play based on his draft stock alone, and that he may go number 1 and Fields went outside of the top 10. Second part of this question is relating to Justin Fields. Now, you were saying in your rant that, we can't have Justin Fields learn another offense, blah, 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 blah. If you bring Jim Harbaugh in, isn't he going to learn another offense anyways?
Yes, but you're okay. So I'll answer the latter first.
Yes,
if you bring in Jim Harbaugh, yes, he's learning a new offense, but he's in the most secure position he's going to be in learning that new offense. You bring in a new offensive coordinator with now what looks to be a lame duck head coach in Matt Eberflus. You're not that first off, how are you going to get unless you give him an extension because they can fire him at what is it, a 4-year contract, I believe?
Mm-hmm.
I believe they could fire him after this season, and happens all the time. So he's potentially a lame duck coach. Unless you give him a contract extension, you're not going to attract a big name offensive coordinator to come in here and want to work with him. And you're going to want somebody that's going to be able to stick around for a year or two, and that's going to want to become a head coach like a Kubiak. Your best route would be to go a Greg Roman, who as we all have kind of talked about, it's seemingly like he does not want to become a head coach. You want to find that guy. Maybe even I can't believe I'm saying it, but a Jim Caldwell. I think he's too long in the tooth, but he is a good offensive coordinator. At least he has proven to be. So I just think if you're going after a young gun, you're asking a young gun like Adam Gase to come in here and make the best out of Justin Fields like he did with Jay Cutler in one season to get that head. The chances of that happening are slim to none because when you're looking at the history of the Bears, is my point, they put themselves in this position constantly. Rinse and repeat is the thumbnail of this show. That's what they're doing again. We can all have optimism. I've had all the optimism in the world. I've every damn year, and I'll have it again. Right now, I'm in my low point of the season. I'm pissed off, and I want to rant. I want to get angry about it. But in 2 weeks, I'll be fine. We'll all be having fun talking, and I'll be optimistic again. But right now is the moment for me to shit on the Bears because of I rarely do because I'm so freaking optimistic all the time, and I'm tired of it. It's been going on too damn long in my entire life, all of your lives, that we can expect that they are going to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again without the same results, the definition of insanity, and think that they're going to get it correct. They might. I might be wrong. I'm not saying I'm correct. This is just my opinion. This is just my Bears feelings at this moment in time. And did I answer both questions?
Well, I did want to interject quickly on your talk about rinse and repeat. I mean, if they fired everyone, I'd say, yeah, you can make that argument. But they didn't. They actually kept coaches, and they looked at different aspects of the game. Isn't that, I mean, to me, it's at least that they're moving away from status quo.
Well, let me ask you, Walt. Do you think that there would have been some benefit to keeping, as much as everyone hates Getsy and think, his blah blah blah, and he this and that there would have been some element to giving him a third year to learn on the job himself, and maybe just go out and get him a consultant? Do you think that might have been a good idea for the team, as opposed to what they did?
Absolutely not. And I will tell
you why.
Thank you. Walt. Thank you. Go ahead.
If you got someone that can teach him in this moment, in this moment, do this. In this moment, you're going to want to do that. In this game plan against this defense, you're going to want to kind of do. It sounds like Flus became a lot more hands off than we thought about that, because it sounds like he left this up to Getsy and he just failed him. And if you would just give him someone to come in and consult with him and work with him and teach him some of these don't do this, do this things, you don't think that could have made him a better offensive coordinator?
No.
Listen to what the players are saying.
Look at the chat.
You're getting it from, I mean, obviously during the exit interviews with the players, something was
said getting it from the chat.
Something along the lines where that was said where that they didn't trust Luke Getsy in terms of making a cohesive offensive plan. Now, we all could give Luke Getsy the benefit of the doubt last year. The team wasn't that great. So you were kind of grasping at straws, trying to find, something to work on offense. And, that's why they went out and traded for Chase Claypool and, the carousel wide receivers with Marset and N'Keal Harry and all that. But at the same time, you could watch in Luke Getsy's game the nuances of his play calling and his inability to adapt across the entire game. And that has only gotten worse as we go into our second year of Luke Getsy. And sometimes you have to just pull the plug. The man can't do the job. I don't care who you bring in, how many consultants. You could bring in, Miss Cleo to tell you the actual play the defense is going to call, and he'd still fuck it up somehow. I mean, look at the Green Bay games. Every time we go into Green Bay, I mean, he knows his offense like the back of his hand there, and he still can't figure out how to get it done against his former team. He didn't even steal from himself. That's how stupid this man is. He doesn't deserve to be an offensive coordinator. He hasn't earned that right. He was given every chance to succeed, and he failed. So I'm not going to disservice my players as a coach and a GM by bringing back this person. I'm going to go into the locker room. I'm going to say, hey, guys, you played great. I didn't put you in the best position to succeed. That's my fault. I'm going to own that. And we saw Ryan Poles own that yesterday with the Chase Claypool trade and his little notebook of decisions that he looks back on. He owns his faults, and Getsy was a fault of both Flus and Ryan Poles. It's about time somebody admits it. I'd rather go ahead and dump him. They dumped the Janocko too, which, I mean, I found it a little strange, but at the same time, you have to look at guys like Jim Dre. He took his job and he ran with it and made a good tight end out of Cole Kmet, where Janocko, I mean, he probably had a good relationship with Justin Fields. It looked like that on the field, but can he coach the quarterback position? I don't know. And that's the answer that Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus and Kevin Warren came up with when they made that decision to dump those other coaches. They can't do the job. So instead of just flushing everyone down the toilet, which would be a Band-Aid, they went in surgically and said, okay, he doesn't work, he works. He doesn't work, he works. So we're going to remove the two that doesn't work, and we're going to keep the two that do. It's like when you're a doctor and you look at the guy and he's sick. So what's wrong with him? Oh, he's got a problem with his appendix. I'm not going to cut the guy's lungs out. There would
But
be no point in that.
You just said like a surgeon, so they went in like a surgeon. So a surgeon has to be able to put things back in place correctly. And
who says they haven't?
I don't think these are surgeons. Do you think? I think Poles is a surgeon. I think if anything, I was curious if Flus was Poles' guy actually, and instead of he was just influenced to hire him. I think now it proves that it was his guy. But in Poles I do trust, but I don't think Flus is a surgeon. I don't think he's.
You don't think he's competent enough to hire the correct OC?
I do not, and I think this is going to be the same thing over again, and again, and again, and again, and again.
And
he's not totally making the decision in a vacuum himself. And
right.
neither was Ryan Poles. I mean, they've said repeatedly that they go to Kevin Warren and the boogeyman that everyone thinks George McCaskey is. Honestly, I don't get it. I don't understand it. Yes, McCaskey is the chairperson of the Bears. Does he have any real power? Probably not. I mean, they go to him for advice, and he says, "Okay, this is one thing. This is the other." But at the end of the day, Ryan Poles makes that call. He's going to make the call on the offensive coordinator in conjunction with Matt Eberflus and Kevin Warren, and input from George McCaskey, and maybe even Ted Phillips. But granted, Ted Phillips just sits on the board and collects a paycheck anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Flus is here to stay, whether you like it or not. There's nothing else you can say. Hey, that rhymed.
Yeah. At the end of the day, Matt Eberflus is here. He's going to at least get one more year, and then we're going to revisit it.
And why do you think that a coach would not want to come here, Shorty, based upon
that's true
the position that Flus is in? I mean, because here's the thing. Their contracts are going to be guaranteed. So even if I'm only here, if I come here and everybody get fired next year, if they sign me to a 5-year contract, I got 5 years worth of money coming if they decide to fire me. So what makes you think that a coach would not want to come here?
Because he would be banking on more than one season to do something with the offense to really help his resume.
Actually, man, it's a good opportunity for an offensive coordinator because if he turns his team around, boy, he'll be hotter than the hottest piece of crap in the midday sun, brother.
That's it right there. That's it. That's it.
Hey, sorry, Steve. Sorry, Joe. Sorry, Steve. I hope you still want to be on next week, dude. Just shut up and laugh, everybody, would you?
And Foster, to your point, I mean, you could look at other coaches and offensive coordinators throughout the NFL, and sometimes they only have 1 year on their resume for certain teams. So it's not unheard of that this happens.
Right. But that's the thing. I mean, if I'm an up and coming, namely the two guys that we're connected to so far, if I'm up and coming like them, I have an opportunity to come to Chicago, get Fields right, lead this team to a Super Bowl. Man, I'm a hot commodity for the next head coaching job. So yeah, I'm going to jump on that opportunity. Not to mention, I'm also getting a pay raise. So yeah, I'm going to take that job. I'm going to absolutely take that job. So yeah, I think your argument there is flawed because you're thinking that a guy who is looking for stability. The stability is I'm getting that check because once they sign me to this contract, even if they fire me, I'm still getting paid. So that's the stability.
And it's that prove it mentality, you guys. I mean, that's the thing I like about Kubiak. I mean, this is a guy that he wants to take that step. He wants to become a bomb ass offensive coordinator, turn around a struggling team, and then all of a sudden you're like, boom,
high commodity.
I'm going to be a head coach just like my dad.
Exactly.
Yeah, watch Shorty will be crying. Oh, we're losing Shane Waldron, man. He was only here 1 year. He turned the offense around. No, I'm joking, dude. But you see what my point is.
And that's where the nuance come in. And when you hire your offensive coordinator, have your quarterback coach good enough to where, hey, if he does succeed so much and get moved on, we can now move up our quarterback coach to take his spot.
Okay.
We just
That is nice.
It is.
Okay, sounds good to me, guys.
And a lot of people didn't want this. A lot of people wanted Flus and everybody gone too. They wanted Harbaugh, or there's 3 or 4 names that people wanted, man. But it didn't happen. So we have to play with the cards we're dealt. And it doesn't matter what the hell we say. Poles is going to make this decision. with Flus on who the offensive coordinator is. It's not going to be Flus making that. They've already said.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard it on the score driving over here that Poles and Flus are collaborating on the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, he said that in a press conference. He said that, to your point.
Yeah, so I haven't caught everything the last few days, guys. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm catching bits and pieces.
Oh, you're fine. We understand.
So Flus is here, and now we need to figure out what the next step is, and that is hire an offensive coordinator, because we have so many options with this pick on top of it. I'm open to hear anything. That doesn't mean I'll like it or agree with it, but man, give me every option you can. As I always say, the more options you give me, the more apt I'm better off to make a better choice for my team. And we're like in a great position. How can anybody see we're not in like such a great position with the draft picks? If we make the right trade with Washington, and if we make the right trade with Washington and we possibly trade the 10 pick back a little bit, I know nobody's going to like hearing this, but we could end up with like a couple first rounders, couple second rounders, 2 third rounders, maybe 3 fourth rounders. You got to look at the whole picture, dude. You got to take off your blinders and look at the whole thing for what it is, man. So really let's start off. Go ahead, Joe. Who's saying that?
What?
I was going to say, Leo asked this question. I just wanted to bring this up for everyone to answer for him. It says everybody in the panel wants Fields to stay. Go ahead.
Everybody on the panel wants to stay with Fields. Leo Factor 1 asked that question.
Yeah, I'm making a banner right now. I'm going to have you guys in chat answer this.
All right, so I guess starting with Foster. We're gonna go around the horn. Foster, do you want to stay with Fields?
I want Fields to stay, and if they happen to pick up a quarterback in another round, like Joe had started to mention, I'm all game for that, because why not be a factory to have players available that we draft and develop so well. I'd like to be a factory where we can afford to trade a guy coming into a contract instead of having to pay that dude. We save the money for the guys that we want to pay. I want to be a factory from quarterbacks on down. Draft. Oh, you know what? We got 3 quarterbacks, dude. Yeah, we'll trade you one. We want a second and a third for this guy. That's who I want to be. So it's got to start somewhere, and we're in the perfect position to do something like that.
What you got, Walt?
Okay, well, I do want to get to Foster's second statement where he's talking about bringing in a second quarterback.
Don't answer the question first.
No. Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm going to answer the question. I just want to say I want to get back to that later. I'm not going down that tangent right now. I mean, my number one choice is stay with Justin Fields. There you go, plain and simple.
Joe?
You're not changing coaches. You're not changing QBs. Potentially grab a QB later in the draft. Don't forget Tyson Bagent. While he didn't have the greatest, he wasn't ready yet, but he needs to develop. I'm not giving up on him either. So I think they stick with Fields and Bagent and then maybe draft somebody later on.
Shorty? Are you muted, Shorty?
No, I'm not muted.
Oh.
Are you mad at
He just doesn't answer.
I'm just sitting here trying to stare you in the eyeballs, PJ.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Am I allowed to change?
You're too cool for that. He's got the right glasses.
Am I allowed to change my mind in the future?
Absolutely.
I mean, I guess I'll just call you our Greg Braggs, I guess.
Yeah, but Greg is doing it like every 2 minutes on the show. It's a little different.
It sounds like your underwear must be crusty and full of stink, Walt, because you never change.
Oh.
Right?
I don't know.
No.
You're never allowed to change things in your life, Walt?
You're not getting away from answering this question, Shorty. Are you sticking with Fields or no?
Right now, in this current state of my Bears affairs,
yes,
he's going.
Right now, I'm saying, if you're going to change offensive coordinators,
we are.
And if you're still trying to figure out exactly what you can get out of your quarterback in year 4 with a third offensive coordinator, then just take the gift horse in the mouth and go draft the quarterback.
Okay.
You're still going to get picks for Justin. I might change my mind in 2 weeks or 2 months, but that's how I feel right now.
It
won't be in 2 minutes. It's not going to be in 2 minutes. I can guarantee you that, my friend.
I'll say this. I'll say stick with Fields. Reason why I say stick with Fields.
No shit.
Well, I want to explain why, though. Here's the thing. If we stick with Fields and, to Joe's point, get a haul for these draft picks, we build a better team. By having a better team, we can then go further. And if you do it right, you can end up with 3 first-round draft picks next year. And if Fields is not the guy, you can go get your guy. But giving up on, or giving, say you want to do the whole Caleb Williams thing or whatever quarterback you choose, and you want to go with him instead. So you do that. You are literally doing the rinse, wash, and repeat, because you're never taking that time to develop. At some point, we got to sit up and say, you know what? No matter what quarterback we have to fix him. We gotta sit up there and have a system to where we can start doing like the Green Bay Packers, to where they started with the Magic Man, went to Favre, then to Aaron Rodgers, and now to Jordan Love. They have a system in place to where they constantly having a system to where they're developing quarterbacks. If we're not going to take the time and test this theory of let's develop this quarterback being Fields to where we can get him right, to where we can start going from there, as opposed to, let's just rinse, wash, and repeat. Let's start now. Fix Fields. Show me a competent coaching staff, a competent atmosphere, and a setup to where, hey, we can get this thing right. We get it right, and now we can go from there. But if you just think that, I'm not doing nothing else, I'm going to grab this new quarterback and hope that this new coaching staff is going to be able to do better with him, because we ain't going to be able to get help, because we passed on the opportunity to get him help by passing on these other draft picks we can get. So we're just going to get Caleb Williams and another first-round draft pick that may be even on defense. So we're really not helping him. So how are we going to have him in a better position than we got Fields?
I respectfully disagree, because with that, I mean, rinse and repeat would be the same cycle of getting a new offensive coordinator every couple of years for the same quarterback, drafting a quarterback that the next coach has to try to make something with and go, it's not my guy. That's the same rinse and repeat cycle that we're on. Only, yes, we did not fire the head coach and ask some other head coach to go, work with Justin Fields. And if they did draft Caleb Williams, that could potentially happen again. But my thinking is, if you get the offensive coordinator and he sees what he can do with Caleb Williams, then you're not rinsing and repeating. You're actually taking the first pick in the draft, which you have only had 3 times in your history, surprisingly back to back. It's a gift horse right in your mouth right now. And if we're sitting here in 5 years and Justin Fields is on a different team or out of the league, and Caleb Williams is blowing up the league, and he's won Rookie of the Year and whatever else you want to add to that, accolades, how are you all going to feel then? You're going to feel duped? Are you going to feel like, are you going to look back on yourself now and go, well, I gave everything that I had to the same concept that they had bought into for decade after decade after decade, rather than thinking outside of the box? And this is, again, it's all opinions. This is just mine. I personally don't want to look. I think it would be better to look back in 5 years and go, well, we failed with the first pick in the draft, than to say, well, we failed with trying to make Justin Fields work with the 4th or 5th offensive.
Well, see, that's the problem. That's the problem. You're hung up on this first pick in the draft scenario. That's the whole thing. It's like
a big deal. It doesn't happen often.
But here's the thing, though. You can get a haul by getting rid of that first pick.
You can get the guy that changes your franchise.
I'm telling you right now, Caleb Williams or any other quarterback is not going to change the trajectory of this team by himself. None of them are. So this team is devoid of talent to where we need these extra picks to get some more talent. And I'm not saying we're depleted as we were last year, but we still need more talent. So just bringing in one quarterback isn't going to change that. We need more talent. So get off the kick of thinking, well, because he's the number one guy, he's the number one pick, or we're going to be all of a sudden be so much better. No, we're not. We're not going to be that much better.
Come on.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
That's better.
There we go. Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the
show
with Joe Mandel and Walt Besky. How you doing tonight, guys? What's going on, man? What do you think of Flus sticking and working for a new offensive coordinator? You got any opinions on maybe who we should get, Joe?
Still loving Kubiak, man. And I tell you what, we surely tuned into a world-class bout. Shorty and PJ, I mean, wow. I mean, Shorty knocked himself TKO'd. He's gone. I don't know what happened.
No. He didn't do it. I did it. I knocked him out.
It was off screen, so I couldn't see.
We had the moment. Come on. We were going to box it out. Come on. You guys ruined it.
Why don't we get the retro super chat real quick?
Because you guys, we could do this all. You guys should have your own show Sunday and just duke this out, okay?
Can I make one quick?
Please, somebody else talk with us.
All I wanted to say, Short, is you're giving a lot of stock to the first pick in the draft. I think last year was pretty consensus that Bryce Young was the pick number one. Look how that worked out for Carolina. I'm not saying that Caleb Williams is on the same level. I mean, he may or may not be. The jury's out there. But if Carolina could take that back, I think they probably would.
I want to throw in this, man. If you've got a good talent and a good quarterback, he doesn't have to be great. He has to be good. A good quarterback with a solid mind, a decent arm, can make the throws, can run around the pocket a little bit. You surround the guy with some really good talent, you're going to win, dude. Joe had said that. You started to talk about that earlier, Joel, because look at all the teams in the playoffs, man. Even like Philadelphia's terrible, but look at all the talent on that team. They're in the playoffs. Jalen Hurts ain't the greatest quarterback in the world. Look at his whole career. So, I don't know. Get to Retro's comedy clips.
Yeah, it's this
$2 super chat.
This is one of Retro's first super chats that wasn't an insult. So thank you for purchasing a non-insult, Retro. Trace
Another
Armstrong.
First on BCP, Dan. Another first.
Thank you for your $2 super chat, Retro. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you. Trace Armstrong kept Flus, both Flus and Pull's agent. So, well, that's a good point. Trace Armstrong has a hell of, yeah. Somebody said that before. Trace Armstrong's really running the show in the background.
Yeah, that's been mentioned a few times over the last 5-6 months, man.
I like Doug Van Doren's comment. He says,
Go ahead, Joe.
No, Doug, I like he said good point, Joel. I've never heard of him, but he must have had some good comments. I love The Last of Us, don't you guys?
The Last of Us, yeah. That was good. Where was this? Oh, I thought that was the one you're talking about, the retro with the thing with Trace. Oh, he was talking to Retro.
Yeah.
Oh man, PJ.
We're having a great conversation in the chat.
You know what? You know I love you, PJ.
I know you do. Because you know I'll give you that bear hug.
Oh God. Damn right.
Yeah, you know.
So Foster, I want to get to our conversation we were having earlier in the day, and I think you talked about options and bringing in a second quarterback. Well, actually, no. First off, we got another super chat from Retro.
Who is Nagy's agent? Trace Armstrong? Get out of here, dude! Really?
Oh no! Conspiracy.
$2 super chat. Thank you, Retro. Wow, really?
So why don't you, Foster, just quickly explain what we were speaking on?
Are you talking about my post on X? Is that where you want me to start?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So I forgot who it was. Somebody put up a post. Well, I can't remember her name. You guys all know her. Everybody knows who she is if I can remember her name. So, anyways, there was a post put up and it said, people are going to be really mad at me, but I wouldn't mind if the Bears drafted, who was it? Michael Penix and Odunes, right? That was
No lefties.
Is that the
No
one you were
lefties.
talking about, right?
I think so. I think the comment was JJ McCarthy.
Oh,
Please,
you're
no
right.
lefties.
It was JJ McCarthy as because I'm mixing up. There was a couple of them, so I apologize. You're right. That was about drafting JJ McCarthy in a later round. And my expressed opinion was, I'm not upset or angry about it. This thing's been a mess for 40 years for the most part. Anything to straighten it out. And then I think I made another comment on that I'm like to do whatever it takes to make it different. And then I even went into my rant about I want to be a damn factory here where we've always got talent. So we've always got something at the the trade deadline to pull more picks in the draft.
Okay.
Go on, Walt. Go further at what I said, because if you remember more than I do, please tell me.
Yeah, no. I just wanted you to set the stage for it. So basically, what you were saying was we can go ahead and pick up another quarterback, sit him behind Justin Fields, and then whatever happens, happens.
Develop
right?
him.
Yeah.
Develop him. That was one of the statements.
Okay. So what I was getting at, I had this conversation with Bearsky too. So if he does end up watching this, I told him that I did want to talk to him in show, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. He's got to work tonight. So
yeah,
more power to him. Now, the reason why I told you I'm not a fan of this is because a couple of things. If I'm going to build this team, I'm going to look at the quarterback situation from the eyes of a GM. I have to look at it like I'm walking through the woods. And there's only really two viable options that you can go to. And I'll explain why. You can either go with Justin Fields. You can go with either Caleb Williams or some quarterback in the draft, whoever it is. I don't really care who your preference is. Going in the middle is an absolute waste of time for a lot of reasons. It's a waste of time for Justin Fields. If you're going to just keep him, it's a waste of time for the quarterback that you're going to bring in. Why you're going to ask me, why do I say this? Because quarterbacks sit all the time, right? Mm-hmm. So here's the thing. If you're going to build a team to win, and at least win now, because it seems like that's the way they're going, we can all agree on that. They want to win the Super Bowl within the next year, hopefully 2 years. You got to commit one way or another. You can't half-ass this. You don't have that luxury anymore. You want to develop a quarterback, that's fine. Wait till Justin Fields is 29, 30 years old when he has a lot of experience under his belt and can impart that on a young quarterback. If you want to bring a competition, you already have Tyson Bagent, like Joe was saying earlier in the show. So it would be silly, both for Bagent and this other quarterback you bring in, to have them both sit. I mean, yes, you can have three quarterbacks. Most people carry three quarterbacks, but that third quarterback's generally on the practice squad, sitting with the scout team, trying to figure things out. To help benefit the quarterback at the head of the depth chart, so to speak. So, I mean, you want an experienced guy as your third quarterback. Generally, it's a veteran like Chase Daniels and Nathan Peterman we've seen. And then you have a transitional guy that can come in and win you games if need be, like Tyson Bagent did. And I'm not a huge fan of Tyson Bagent. I've been on this show plenty of times saying I don't think Tyson Bagent's the guy to start. He's a very capable backup. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think he definitely slots in behind Fields really well. And there looks like there's a good repertoire between the two of them. But at the same time, I don't want to take a pick, because to get a guy like JJ McCarthy, you're generally going to have to either use your first round pick. I don't see him falling into round 3 or a second round pick, right?
Second round.
Yeah. So let's just say you use a second
round. Do we
pick.
even have a second rounder, Walt?
Not right now.
No.
So if you don't make any moves at all, you're going to have to use pick 9 or trade back a little bit and pick up an extra 4th or whatever, pick somewhere in the middle of the first round. That pick can go to something else to help better your quarterback. And then, like PJ was saying earlier, if Fields fails for whatever reason, whether it's his own ineptitude or the team just falls apart, you can go ahead. If you trade that number 1 pick and pick up the haul, you could pick your own guy next year. Because we all know if Flus fails this year, he's gone. So if we follow your logic thought here, Foster, and Bearski's on the same thing with you, if we pick that other quarterback, right, whoever it is, do we really want to bring the next head coach in and say, well, he's got to inherit another quarterback. We're not gonna take his guy. That is the essence of rinse and repeat right there. I mean, I don't care which way you go at this point. Like I said, I'm for Justin Fields, but if they went with another quarterback, I'd support the team because I'm a Bears fan. I would still, follow Justin Fields because I think he's a good player. But is he the end all be all for me? Like, would I leave the team if he left? Absolutely not. So what I'm saying is, either way you go, you have to commit fully to that. You can't just take a step down the path and be like, well, I don't want to go this way, so I'm going to go this way. And I made the analogy to Bearski, which he didn't really understand. It's like you walk outside and you can either paint the fence or you can paint the shed. You only have enough paint to do one job. Now you can half-ass it and have an unfinished fence and an unfinished shed, but what the hell is that going to do to you? Right? You have to keep following the process. You have to commit 100% because you're doing yourself, your fans, the players, the coaches, all a disservice at the end of the day. And, I'd rather see you build a team around either quarterback, whether you build it around Justin Fields or you build it around a Caleb Williams or a Drake May. That's fine. But you're building that team. You're not going to hamper a quarterback, if you pick one and just sits. So that, even still, like if you bring in another quarterback and Justin Fields does great and this quarterback just sits there, that is now a pick you just flushed down the toilet that you could have put someone else.
You can't trade him?
You can trade him, but his value is instantly depreciated as soon as he gets drafted. You're never going to recuperate that pick.
That's true.
Look at the Montez Sweat trade. He went 18th overall, somewhere in that range, 18 to 28. In the first round.
I didn't say I wanted to do this. I said that wouldn't.
No.
I'll take all the options. And if they draft another quarterback by chance and bring him in, that's more competition in camp. Maybe he beats Fields in camp. I'm just making this up as I go.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying
that's a competition thing, dude. I'm not saying they're going to even do it. You look at CJ's comment, 2 number ones and passed on a QB for another guy later in the draft, polls would be booted.
If he takes Caleb Williams and fails,
narrative. My whole narrative is any freaking option has got to be better than the shit we've been doing for 40 years because I'm sick of it.
And I forget who was talking about earlier about the Green Bay situation. It's because we have not had a quarterback sit behind a Hall of Fame quarterback. The Green Bay has happened. It's happened 2 times in a row. So
Green Bay's got a good system in place. I mean, Brett Favre
exactly. We do not. Where's your confidence in the system that we have in place?
It's all
Green Bay does it like they did it in the 70s and the 60s and the shit, like they did it in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, where a guy sat for 3 or 4 years before he even saw the field. Man, that's how it used to always be. Remember, Peach?
Well, I think with the way to fix that issue is if you have, instead of using your number 1 pick on a quarterback and hopefully thinking that you can have the right guy in place to do the right things with him with not as much talent as you could have by trading him. How about trading those picks, get talent around Fields, make sure your offensive coordinator is that guy who know how to now have a system in place that we can continually go with. If you do it that way, I think the chances are success is better because even if then Fields is not the guy, you got other players around you that can help.
Absolutely, dude.
I mean,
freaking.
Yeah, I mean that's the part that's killing me. Is like you can actually build this team like polls talk about,
and what's the biggest complaint about this team for a long time? The offensive line play.
Right.
And what is amazing in the draft this year? There's amazing offensive linemen in this draft. Just saying.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, so if you do that, you now build this team up. So you got now this system in place with this offensive coordinator. And this offensive coordinator come to you next year, year after next, say, Fields not really taking us to that next level. With this added draft capital and this offensive line now finally fixed, we can go and get the quarterback if that's what the deal is. But what San Francisco has shown us, we can take Mr. Irrelevant and put him in our system because we got the talent, we have the system, we have the coaches that can make Mr. Irrelevant a starting caliber quarterback for a Super Bowl team. So that's the point I'm making. We want to sit up there and just say, oh, get this quarterback, but getting this quarterback and you're going to have not as much talent. I'm not saying that, we're going to have the 3rd round draft pick, 4th round draft pick, but we're not going to be able to get as much talent as we could by making those trades to where now we're hoping that Caleb Williams or Drake May is the guy to be better than what Fields was by getting the other guys to now elevate their play. How are we going to do that? I don't know. But here's the other thing. Beyond the play, what about the personality of these quarterbacks? Are they leaders? Are they the type, or are they fragile to where they're like Trubisky? Oh, the media is talking about me. Let's cut off every TV in the Hallis Hall because I don't want to hear negative things about me. You got to think about those things beyond the fact of the talent-wise, because that's the part they really need to dig into. Let's see what type of personality, what type of work ethic they got. I mean, are they a Johnny Manziel? Are they a Mitch Trubisky type personalities to where they're not going to be able to succeed there? There's a whole other levels to this thing besides what you're seeing on Saturdays with their play.
Well, I have a question for each one of you guys, and I want you to pretend. I want you to pretend that you're wrong. Okay, I want you to project into the future and pretend that you're wrong. I want to go around the horn here. I'll go with PJ, Joe, Foster, and then Walt last. I want to know, PJ, how will you feel in, say, 5 years if Caleb Williams is the rookie of the year in his rookie season, and he's gone to the championship game in the Super Bowl, and maybe he's an MVP, and 2 years later from now, Justin is gone because this entire coaching staff failed him? I just want to know. It doesn't matter. What's your response to how you would feel looking at that happening to some other team as a Bears fan?
Okay, let me answer it like this. First of all, you have been saying that for a minute, but you yourself has not looked at it the other way on what if he's a bust. Now, after having said that, let me answer your question.
No, you can't answer a question with a question. Answer my question.
Patrick Mahomes, how do I feel about what he's done? Because that's basically what you're saying. We passed on Patrick Mahomes and went with Mitch Trubisky. I feel like, okay,
that's different.
Had we traded and been able to get more picks around that Mitch Trubisky time, to where although Mitch Trubisky have failed, we still have more talent. That's the thing, because even if we miss on Caleb Williams, I'm not mad at the CJ Stroud trade because we got Darnell Wright. We got
yes, sir. I do have my license and my registration. May I please have your last name and your badge number?
It's on the paperwork.
You have not answered my question, PJ. How would you feel?
I'm telling you how I feel. I'm feeling like if we have the other players around missing on that quarterback, we can fix that by getting another quarterback. But we have more talent.
Question. No,
how would I feel?
You're skating around the question. How would you feel if Caleb Williams became if he was the rookie of the year in his first season, lit up the league, he went to a couple championship games and won a Super Bowl, and Justin Fields was off the Bears in 2 years with the new coaching staff coming in? How would you feel about that situation?
The same way I feel about Patrick Mahomes.
No, Patrick Mahomes was not supposed to be drafted that high. Nobody projected him to be drafted that high, dude.
But but the results are the same. He is a 2-time Super Bowl champ. He's an MVP. So that's how I feel about him. It's like, okay, we missed on him, but the only difference is in the scenario we're talking about, we would have more talent. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to be upset. Oh, man, it's the end of the world because we missed on Caleb Williams. Okay, we missed on him. But we got other talent. We got Marvin Harrison Jr. We got these other players that now make this a better team. So I'm not going to be that mad to where I can be like San Francisco and go get Brock Purdy with Mr. Irrelevant and have him run this shit. That's what I'm saying. I'm not putting all my eggs in the one basket of this quarterback having to be the guy, because we've seen that by passing on Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, that's your answer. Joe,
Yes.
What's your answer?
My answer is I don't think it matters. And I'll tell you why. There's 2 good quarterbacks, and I'm seeing some comments in the chat about May. Whether or not Caleb Williams goes on and say he's amazing, and we don't get anything out of Fields. We're still, as PJ said, we're getting a lot of talent. We're going to get a lot of talent in return. This guy is being viewed as a generational talent, okay, and people are talking about that, and I don't think that's not a surprise to anybody. But because when you get that word generational talent, that means there's going to be a haul to come back for it. There's always going to be another quarterback. We need to develop in other places of this team. The offensive line needs to improve. We need more weapons down the field. All that stuff's going to help Justin Fields. I'm not sold that even if Caleb Williams came here, it's just like if you put Patrick Mahomes on the Bears all those years ago. He wouldn't be the same guy now if he started his career on the Bears. The same could be said about Caleb Williams. So for me, I wouldn't really give a shit.
Okay, fair enough. Foster was next. Foster, how would you feel if Caleb Williams became a superstar?
I would not be happy, because it would be like man, where do I start? Warren Moon, Mahomes. There's probably 20 quarterbacks, if I sat here and could think, going back over 40 years, that we should have taken, that we didn't. So I'm with these guys, dude. I hate to say this. You build the team, man. I can find a quarterback. I will find one, because there's going to be one in a draft, whether it's next year, the year after. How the hell did Geno Smith throw for 4,000 yards his first year with Seattle? It wasn't Geno Smith. It's the team around him and the coaching.
And who was the offensive coordinator?
We've got Shane Warren. We've got to take, as a matter of fact, he was for his first season too, man. He's the guy that probably turned Geno Smith's career around. So the goal now is to find the right offensive coordinator that uses the West Coast offense, similar to what we have, but make the adjustments for Justin and not just keep staying in the box that Getsy was in. This ain't going to be – it should – with Justin Fields on the field, it should not be the same offense that everybody else is running with this West Coast offense. It should be more Lamar-ish, man. Every time I watch Lamar, I'm going, man, Justin could be as good as this guy. He could be better than this guy. That's maybe I'm blind, but that's the way I see it when I watch him play. So
very similar, Foster.
And if it doesn't work out, that was part of my scenario, Walt. I'm not even saying I would do that. I'm open to anything that polls can come up with, because I trust the guy. I look at his record, what he's done in the short time he's been here, man, and I just trust in his opinion, man. So the options, but it's trade that pick, man. Get the haul.
And remember, guys, real quick, the offseason, nobody wanted to pay Lamar Jackson.
Right.
Now look at him.
Right.
So,
or draft him, by the way.
That too.
The other thing, right. That's the other, because he was throwing for, man, he was terrible because he was throwing for 150 yards a game? That's just, come on, man. You can't have a quarterback like that hanging around the NFL. Sarcasm.
Right.
Take the haul, man. Fix the damn offensive line. Go out and sign a free agent. I don't care if it's center. That's going to be hard to do. A guard. Draft a couple guards. Draft a center after you sign the free agent on top of it.
And before,
man, we need depth. Go ahead, Joe.
Before Walt answers that question, I know it's Walt's turn next. To the point about drafting another quarterback later on, like J.J. McCarthy or somebody like that, instead of drafting that quarterback,
That doesn't mean I'm
draft
right.
somebody for your offensive line to fix them.
BB.
I think you're muted, Joe.
Sorry, it's all I was going to say real quick is that it's like the Dallas model. They built up their offensive line. They had Dak. Yeah, so just want to point that out.
It's Walt's turn, right?
Yeah, go ahead, Walt. You got the mic.
Okay. Go ahead and repeat your question again, Shorty.
How would you feel if Justin Fields was gone and off the Bears in a couple of years and defunct and not doing anything else, and Caleb Williams was lighting up the league, and we were sitting there with the number 1 pick, but we decided to trade that pick away? Okay. I'm talking about in 2 or 3 years, we're sitting here with a new head coach trying to see if we can make the playoffs again, and meanwhile Caleb Williams is lighting up the league. How would you feel?
Okay. And can I flesh the question out even further? Can I ask if we, in that situation, traded the number 1 overall pick, got the haul, and then used those picks elsewhere?
Wait, say that again?
In the situation you're describing to me, did we trade the number 1 overall pick and then picked up the haul of picks?
Last year?
No, this coming year.
No, we passed on. Yeah, yes, we did. We did that. Yes.
Okay, so we passed on the quarterback. We traded the number 1 pick to, Patriots or Commanders or whoever.
Right.
All right. If that happened, I'd be fine with it. And the reason why I'm being kind of blasé about it is because at the end of the day, as a GM in that situation, I went off and I built the best team around Justin Fields. I gave him the tools, and for some reason it didn't work out. And it happens. It does. And I can honestly say that I tried my best, and he tried his best, and for some reason it didn't work. Whatever that reason is, I did it, and I can sleep at night that way. And it wouldn't bother me, honestly. Like, okay, it happens. Caleb Williams went off and did whatever. Good, more power to him. I don't care. He's not on my team. It doesn't matter what they do to me. I don't care if he won.
And while Caleb Williams went off and did that, we built up our offensive line, and we've been in the playoffs every year. I mean, what did we do while Caleb Williams did all this? Did we do nothing? Did the team fall apart? Because I don't see it happening if we've got 3-4 draft picks out of this 1 pick.
All right, I got a question.
Saying, man.
But if your team is starting over again in 2 years and you're like back to square one of still losing to Green Bay twice a year and they're winning the division and Caleb Williams is balling out somewhere else, you guys aren't going to go, well, shit, we had that first pick right in our lap.
I'm pulling me because I could be doing this every week for like 35 years straight.
Well, we will be.
But the thing is, what did San Francisco do when Trey Lance didn't work?
Did Foster pull himself?
No, I didn't. Oh yeah, I don't know.
Foster did. Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. I mean, so I don't get it. So let us ask you this. Let us ask you this question, Shorty. How would you feel 5 years from now, or whatever the time frame is, that we draft Caleb Williams and he turns out to be a bust, and Fields go on and become that MVP guy? How would you?
I would say that it would be the first time it happened in the history of the NFL, and I'd be happy with it because it has never happened before. And at least we gave the shot with the number 1 pick.
It never happened before.
Name me one quarterback that was drafted in the first round, failed with his team, and became a Hall of Famer and won a Super Bowl on another team?
Steve Young.
Matthew Stafford.
Steve Young was not a first-round draft pick. Matthew Stafford was already a superstar when he was traded.
But he still didn't do it with his team. So in a sense, he failed.
But he was
the end goal of the Lions was to win the Super Bowl. They did not do that. So they failed in their end objective. Matt Stafford got pissed and wanted to leave the team. Went to the Rams. First year, they end up blowing their entire draft budget to build this super team around him.
Matt Stafford didn't technically fail on his first team.
He did. He had good numbers.
Drew Brees.
He had good numbers.
He had good numbers, yes, but that's not what we're saying.
Drew Brees was a second round pick, PJ.
And so the thing I'm saying is
Cornelius Squalls pointed out that Doug Williams was one of that's actually
I named Doug Williams. But the thing I'm saying is if the question basically is if you get this, you draft your quarterback with this first pick and he doesn't pan out and Fields does, and even if let's say Fields doesn't pan out, the bottom line is if your guy that you want to give up passing on the hall, passing on a decent quarterback, if he turns out to fail, how would you feel?
It depends on all the draft picks we could possibly get for that pick.
No. According your scenario, you draft Caleb Williams. I guess I'm assuming that's who you would draft. So you draft Caleb Williams, and in 3 years, Caleb Williams is not that guy.
He's a bust.
How are you going to feel?
And Justin Fields goes to his next team, and
even if Justin Fields doesn't, if he doesn't pan out,
I would be totally fine with it because I would have at least have known that we put our balls on the table and tried, rather than perpetuate the same motion of let's replace
our balls on the table and tried
this piece and let's replace this coach and
put our balls on the table and tried what though?
To go after to actually use the first pick to draft a quarterback.
See, that's what you're hung up on. That's what I keep saying. You're keeping hung up on the fact that we got to go after the number one quarterback. In the Justin Fields draft, they had 3 quarterbacks to go before him. With that logic, what would we be? I mean, it's a flawed logic. Just because they're projected to be number one, Bryce Young. So far, he hasn't been that guy.
Oh, come on. Bryce Young wasn't even comparable to Caleb Williams' stature coming out of the draft. Come on.
Bryce Young was the pick of the draft last year.
But he wasn't
I never saw it. But
Bryce
he was the guy, dude. Like,
he was the top pick in the draft, but he wasn't like somebody that everyone had been watching from like day one to see how like great he would get, and then him proving on the stage how great he was, as much as Caleb Williams.
Having any fun yet, Joe?
Foster, or I should say,
the whole time.
What was that quarterback for LSU name?
I love this guy.
The one who went to the Raiders.
What's the question?
You talking about
the
Jamarcus Russell?
Jamarcus Russell.
Jamarcus Russell. Wow, what a great draft pick.
Biggest bust. One of the biggest.
Was he or was he not the number one overall pick?
Yes.
Okay.
He was. Yeah.
All right. Let's look at Johnny Manziel.
Ryan Leaf. You want to go Ryan Leaf? Come on. Let's just go right to Ryan Leaf.
So the point I'm making is you're being stuck on the fact that this guy's draft position may be number one. And therefore, you want to take that chance because he's number one. Just because he's number one doesn't mean he's going to work out. That's why I was saying earlier. You have to look at the other intangibles. Yes, he's a very talented player, but we don't know what the other intangibles he has is. So just to automatically assume that he's going to be that guy, I can't say that. I just can't say he's going to be that guy. Same thing I was saying last year. We couldn't say they was going to be the guy. And if I'm being totally truthful with you guys, in the last 25 years, there's been 2 quarterbacks that I said was that guy. Peyton Manning when he came out, and Andrew Luck. Every other quarterback that came out, I'm like, they could succeed. They could, but I'm not sure. But those 2 are the only 2. So I don't have that vibe with Caleb Williams or anybody else in this draft that, they are that guy. So if me saying that, that's why I'm saying I can give up that that first overall pick and get a haul because I don't think none of them is that guy.
Fair enough.
Doug Van Dorn says, historically, Shorty, the highest ranked quarterback in the draft, especially number one pick, never actually works out. The odds of hitting on that is like less than 10%. Don't act like it's 100.
It's actually like 45%.
So 45, 4.5 out of every 10 first round quarterbacks hit. You better look at the last. You better look at the last first number one pick quarterbacks for the last 24 seasons since Manning.
It actually the number was I saw it went back to like the 70s.
There's only two of them that have won a Super Bowl, and it's the Manning brothers. That's it. Mm-hmm. There's only two of them that have succeeded in the last 20, whatever it is, since Peyton was drafted. I think there's 7 or 10 quarterbacks, 8 or 10 quarterbacks drafted number one in 25 or 26 seasons, and only 2 of them have won Super Bowls, and it's the Manning brothers.
So what you're trying to tell me here is that you guys are succeeding in talking me off a ledge.
No, you could keep your number one pick idea. I'm telling you where I'm at. These guys have told you where they're at. I think we should move on because we've been on this for an hour and 40 minutes.
Well, I mean, we've changed up conversations.
Joe's got to get up sometime, man. I'd like to hear him talk more, too.
Oh, what? I just woke up. Sorry.
Joe's in bed eating a sandwich, listening to the rest of the show like last time.
He's got a green screen. Open. He just
yeah.
Should we get back to like what do we need? What's the most important position on the team right now that we need to fix?
Center.
I could say that. What do you think, Joe?
Center, and then I think we need to get a top wide receiver to pair with DJ Moore.
Absolutely. That's 1A, 1B, man, right there, in my opinion, too. And then I'll run down the list, man. We need another guard. We're having too many problems at guard, man. It's been an entire season of a guard issue, one side of the line or the other. With Tevin being out, I know he had a terrible game the last game. He's still our best offensive lineman right now. Hopefully Wright's going to step up. And you heard Poles talk about he said good things about Braxton Jones. So do you think he's going to go draft a tackle in this draft?
Well, I think Braxton needs a competition.
He did. That's exactly what he mentioned, was to maybe possibly bring in some competition for him. But is that going to be Joe Alt or a top tier pick?
Probably not. You'll probably more than likely see a late round offensive tackle come in as competition.
Third, fourth round, you thinking?
Maybe. Depends on your center.
I think to answer your question, what are our needs? We need a center. We need offensive line help, being a guard, being a tackle, even if it's just for competition for the other guys. We also need a defensive end. We also need a defensive tackle. We need a safety. So there's several things we need. We just don't need a quarterback.
It's absolutely. I mean, like I said last week, dude, when people are saying we're 4 or 5 guys away, I said, no, we need 10 more good players right now. 10. And a competent offensive coordinator and staff. Otherwise, it doesn't even matter if we draft all the guys on offense.
I wouldn't go as far as say 10, Foster. I mean, I think if you switch out the center to somebody comparable, it'll also help your guards.
No. Well, I'm going to stop you right there because we did this. I started talking about depth. As soon as we got into depth, it's 10 guys.
I know. I get where you're going with the depth here. And I was going to. That's irrelevant.
Go ahead.
But I was going to get to your depth. You're saying we need another guard. We have Tyreek Carter sitting on the inactives. So there's depth on the roster there in that position. I don't know. I don't make those decisions.
Well, they've been put into game situations and haven't performed. Our depth.
Well, I mean, you had Cody
three different guys at center snapping the ball. All 3 of them not good. So our depth at that position.
That's why I'm saying that position needs to be refined. And with refining the center,
that's part of my 10 guys. It's not 4 guys to fix this team. No way.
I'm not even
Go ahead. Get a center, a wide receiver, a defensive end, and a safety. That's not going to fix this team.
Let's quickly push the depth away. Let's start with the starters, right? So we'll get there. You bring in your center, whether it's Connor Williams or whether it's a rookie or somebody else that comes up. We've talked about different options. The center is generally the line caller. Am I correct? He calls out the shifts and all that. So if you have an inherently flawed individual at the center calling the actual movement, like a Lucas Patrick or a Dan Feeney or a Cody Whitehair, everyone else around them, more often than not, their immediate left and right, which would be the inside guards, are going to run into an issue. So you need that center to help your guards. If they're not helping your guards, their flaws are going to show out a whole lot more. So guys like Nate Davis, I mean, Nate Davis was no slouch in Tennessee. He was good. He had an off year. And that could be a lot of stuff, though. That could be, mental issues and in other things, that we're not privy to. I don't think it's a lack of talent. So once you figure that out, depth is a little different. You can find depth everywhere. You don't have to draft depth. You can. You can also look on the free agent market and find veterans on easy deals. There's a list every year on NFLTradeRumors.com of hundreds of free agents that are just sitting there right for the taking, all positions. You could bring somebody like that in. And this is not the same position.
I don't want somebody like that. I want a depth guy who's going to become a starter so that when the next guy's going into his big contract, we can trade him and get a draft pick back.
You
can't do that with half-ass stuff. No, it's not. But you can do it. We can certainly do a better job than we've done.
Unfortunately, that's unfortunately fantasy land to happen all the time. Most of the time, you're going to bring in a veteran to either as a mentor for a younger player that is in the starting role, and he can grow into that, or you're going to bring him just as a stopgate. This whole thing where we're going to draft every single position, like, yeah, on paper, that is nice. Don't get me wrong. I would agree with that 100% what you were saying.
Hold on a second. I got to know, what are you guys having for dinner tonight?
How about?
I'm having.
I had dinner like 3 hours ago.
I'm thinking about some fish and spaghetti.
I got you, Walt, but I want to be like the Patriots were, dude, when they could trade away quarterbacks because they had an excellent quarterback. Go ahead, Joe.
I was at a restaurant in my area, PJ, not that long ago. I don't know if you guys talked about this on the show. I sent a screenshot to Shorty and to Foster. They had catfish and spaghetti on the menu.
Thank you. You said that was in the Midwest, right?
In Michigan.
Yep, it's in Michigan.
Thank you.
He did.
That's all I'm saying.
Still not ordering it, but
I'm just saying though. It's
the thing.
So the point I'm making is, it's within the realm of possibilities. Some people eat that. That's all I've been saying. I mean, because when I first brought it up, it was like, what? Never. What? No way. People do eat that.
No, I was the only one who stood by you because we do mastacholi, man. You gave me shit about having mastacholi with my cat.
Let's see if I can get this to focus. There you go.
Yep. Fish and spaghetti on the menu.
No, I remember this picture.
Yeah, we did talk about it, Joe. We did bring it up.
Yeah, I think we brought up when you were on the show last with us, actually.
No.
Perhaps. I don't know.
No, because it was after that. We talked about it on like 2 weeks after he sent it to me because I was doing shit. And then he sent it to you, Shorty. I forgot about it. And then we talked about it for like 2 minutes on one of the shows a couple weeks later, Joe. I know we did.
Well, one of these days we'll have to meet up there, Foster, and we'll try it together.
Yep. And if something happens, man, we go down to Peoria and take out PJ. We can both get sick or anything.
PJ, I gotta tell you, I was laughing hysterically in the background. I don't know if you saw me, but I was laughing so hard after your last comment when you ended it, and like everyone else took it over, and you're like, the last thing we don't need is a quarterback.
I'm just saying. Joe said it earlier. We already have Tyson Bagent, so we already have that competition. I mean, for us to go get another quarterback at some point.
Well, that's what
for them to be on a practice squad.
I actually wanted to ask you guys that question. Do you think that Tyson Bagent his arm strength can get stronger?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
It can, but if he hasn't started on it now, then there'd be no point.
That's what I'm thinking.
Absolutely it can, but if there's an extra pick that we pick up somewhere that Poles has a guy he likes, you upgrade at that position and possibly you could trade Bagent because there's teams that'll take him. Everybody doesn't want Fields, but yet my guy in Washington said they take Fields. My guy in New York said the Jets would take Fields. 2 guys in Atlanta told me they trade him. We'll take him. So I'm just saying, there ain't no shortage of wanting of Fields in the league if he's going to go that route. But he's not, I don't think. Illinois Jones lives in Peoria.
Nice. But yeah, to my to what I was saying, Foster. Like when I'm looking at the draft in terms of different rounds, those first 4, maybe even 5 rounds, I'm gonna try and get a starter out of it, if in all possible. 6 and 7, we don't really have those this year, as right now at least. Those are just projects, and if they end up not making the club at the end of the year, who cares? But you can always find depth. That's the probably the easiest thing to find, because depth is just a perspective of what people see it as. So what is depth to you and to me and to Joe and to PJ and to Dan is all different, completely different.
But to you to argue your point, though, Walt, the only depth piece I say is essential would be an offensive guard because of Jenkins' injury history. So I would have to have a real good depth piece with him. I
Yeah.
mean, the other ones, to your point, yes.
So yeah, right now that depth piece is Cody Whitehair. He's not going to be back on this team next year. Let's be real, he's gone.
Right.
So you can, in theory, slot in Jatiri Carter. He looked fine in the preseason. He looked okay, minus some reps in the Washington game that he came in when Jenkins was first coming back. So there you go. I mean, you can't carry all these pieces. So somebody's got to go somewhere, right? You could carry maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 extra offensive linemen at a time. So you got to make your choice. Now, like I said, safety paramount at this point. That it has changed. That'll help the offensive line immensely. Yesterday, it looks like Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus too gave Braxton Jones the thumbs up. I don't see us taking a tackle in the early rounds. Like I said, maybe you want to go for one later on. I'm fine with that. We still got to figure out what we're going to do with Larry Bourne. Does he stay? Does he go? We don't know. Safety, Eddie Jackson's got to go. I like Eddie Jackson, but I think the game has passed him by. His tackling is subpar. I mean, it kind of always has been, but you definitely have seen it this year where he's just kind of whiffing on easy tackles. Now, that could be slightly fixed with the right coach, but the D-backs coach is pretty good. So I think it's more an Eddie Jackson problem. So you pick up there, you have Elijah Hicks and I think Kendall Williamson as your depth pieces already on the roster. Williamson is on the practice squad though, but he can be called up. And I thought Hicks has been fine. Cornerback, you're looking good. You have Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, Terrell Smith. You can't really go anywhere with that. You re-sign JJ, and that's locked in. You have Tyreek Stevenson blowing up, possibly defensive rookie of the year, hopefully. And then you have the depth piece in Terrell Smith. Quarterback, you have Tyson Bagent. Running back, you have Roshan Johnson and Khalil Herbert. Maybe Deontay Foreman, but I don't see him coming back. So there's depth pieces around. It's trying to get those impact starters now that we're missing. So we need a center, we need a safety, another defensive end because Yannick ain't coming back, unfortunately. And he wasn't all that great to begin with. On paper he was fine, but it just didn't work out here. Rasheem Green is gone, so you need at least 2 ends there to fill a role. Defensive tackle, you're doing pretty good on. You have Zach Pickens, you have Gervon Dexter, you have Andrew Billings, Justin Jones. I like him, but he's probably gone. It's the last year of his contract. I think Dexter can slot into his position. If you want to go and find a nose tackle of the future, depending on what happens with Andrew Billings, does he continue this upward trend or does he revert to what happened in Cleveland and where are the Raiders now? You could pick up a guy you could have a tag team in LSU, Mason Smith and Wingo. Wingo is they ran him out of the nose in LSU, and Mason Smith was a dominant 3-tech, so they can even slide in terms of draft picks. So you're getting like a starter and possible depth too with those kind of picks. What's J2K asking? What do you think about signing Daniil Hunter and Brian Burns? Brian Burns isn't bad. I think he's young enough to where he fits the mold of the team. Daniil Hunter is an excellent player, but he's on that same timeline as Sweat where he's around 28, 29 years old, and now it's going to start to fall down the cliff a little bit. So if I had to pick one, I'd say Brian Burns, J2K.
I would say this though. I think we need a lot more players. I mean, you may consider them depth, but I would say players that can actually challenge for starting positions, be it like you need a 3 technique, be it challenge with Javon or be the depth to Javon, but you need someone there. So you're going to have to spend a high draft choice on him or free agency. Defensive end, even a safety for sure. So that's 3 on the defense. Then if you go to the offense, a running back. I'm not sold on any of our running backs being that guy. I think they're all decent, but none of them's that guy. Wide receiver. We need a second wide receiver. We need a second tight end. We need, like I said, an offensive guard that can replace Tevin when he gets hurt. A left tackle that can challenge Braxton Jones. So those are about 8 players that I can name off the top of my head that has to be good enough to start.
So Joe, what do you got here? Because Steve Zim going to be on the show next week with us, guys. He says there is no depth on this team. The moment anyone is injured, they are exposed. What's your take on it, Joe?
He's muted.
Yep. Good old mute button. Love it. I think
Coach Tuccini.
No, I'm here for real. I'm just messing. But no, I think it's true. And I think really you have to draft around that, and you have to build a better, more balanced team. Listen, I think you guys talked a lot about wide receiver. We're going to have to draft some, and I think they're going to sign some in free agency. And there's some names out there in free agency at the wide receiver position that people aren't thinking about, right? Marquise Brown could possibly be a good fit with DJ Moore. You know, a guy who had an unproven, underwhelming season in Calvin Ridley. Again, these are all guys that they're going to take money, but they're not going to take DJ Moore, Mike Evans money. So, you know, I think you need to have depth at wide receiver. You need to have depth on the offensive line. The defense has been the most solidified part the second half of the season. And I think you have to have a backup quarterback that's ready. Tyson Bagent, I love him. I think he could potentially develop into something, but was he ready to start this year? Absolutely not. I don't think, looking back at it, that the PJ Walker move was potentially the right move. I mean, again, I'm not saying he's that much better, but he's more experienced. I like Bagent, but I think you need to get a better backup QB, whether you draft him or you sign him in free agency. I don't know, but I think I agree with Zim. I think it's a problem and that this team needs to address depth for sure.
So why do you think Marquise Brown would be a good pairing with DJ?
Well, DJ is the fast, explosive guy. He can get you deep. He can get you in the middle of the field. And Marquise Brown's the guy that's going to beat you deep. And he's kind of like, and it's hard to make this comparison and see it, but this is how I feel about it anyway. He's like Deebo Samuel, but on a way shittier team. And he's kind of been like that. I mean, he was better when he was with the Ravens. But I think this is a guy that, you know, with the right, well, if we get someone from San Francisco, like we're talking about, potentially with Kubiak, I could see that kind of fitting into the scheme and fitting into the way that this team could spread out the ball. Pair that with drafting Marvin Harrison Jr., and you got a really dangerous wide receiving core.
Oh, okay, so you're not saying like him being like a DJ? I'm sorry, a Darnell Mooney, because that's what he kind of reminds me of. It seemed like Darnell, it seemed like Marquise Brown reminded me of Darnell Mooney, and Darnell Mooney and DJ Moore did not coexist, seem like.
Yeah, I mean, I see a comment from Mo Bierman that Hollywood is hurt every season. And part of the thing with that is he's an elite talent, but this is going to drive down his price. I don't think he's going to be, because of that, his number gets lower, right?
Right.
And if you draft Marvin, this is the depth that I'm talking about. I mean, if you have Marvin Harrison Jr. to go with DJ Moore, then you have Hollywood, and then you have, you know, guys behind them that can help there. There's a lot of other free agents. We can go through that at another time. I don't have to go through the whole list, and Calvin Ridley's another one that, you know, could be a big payoff, but he looked kind of crappy this year. But again, he's rusty coming back to football.
So do you think
Hollywood would probably be better to have on the field than Trent Taylor?
Do you think Hollywood would be more expensive than Mooney? And do you think Mooney or do you think he would have a better role than what Mooney would have?
He'd have a better role than Mooney. I think he'll be more expensive than Mooney because Mooney hasn't really shown us anything, frankly. And it is a heavy wide receiver draft. That's true.
He showed us for 1 year, but yeah, I get you.
Brown is a decent player, but he's 5'0", pretty much. He's a 5'9". I mean, you're going to go out and you're probably going to get a Marvin Harrison Jr. to feel like that big body Chase Claypool type. But at the same time, I'll give Tyler Scott at least another year. Going into this year, the benefit of the doubt, maybe save some money. I mean, his replacement kind of already in house. I mean, Hollywood Brown would be nice, but do you need to get him? I don't know.
Yeah, see, that's where I differ. I would just rather stick with Mooney, being that guy. If I got DJ, Marvin Harrison, I'll stick with Mooney and have Mooney and Tyler battle out for the slot position. But because I don't want to spend that money on Hollywood and his injury history, and then him being in the third wheel anyway, if not the fourth wheel with Komet.
I don't think Hollywood's going to be that expensive.
Be here? Go ahead, Joe.
No, I was going to say I really don't think Hollywood would be that expensive, frankly.
But more expensive than Mooney.
You might be more expensive than Mooney at this point, PJ.
Hey, you get what you pay for, brother. That's all I say. You get what you pay for.
I think Mooney punched his ticket out at the end of the year, honestly.
So do I. I don't think he wants to be here either. At that point, when all that stuff started going down, and whether right or wrong, his actions, I just don't think that he wants to be here because he's not going to be who he thought he was going to be with this particular team, man. Could be wrong. They could square that all up, Walt. We could be wrong. Poles could sit down and talk and say, look, man, we're going to bring you back at this rate. This is going to be a prove it year. Show us what you got because we'll put you in the system, but it's up to you to do something about it.
Yeah. So, before we jump back, I just want to address Steve Mee really quick. We've already talked about this. So if you want to go back and watch earlier in the show, go ahead. But
I suggest you don't.
Real quick, one last note on Marquise Brown. And then I'll be done talking about him. He's never had a season with under 3 touchdowns. So I just want to put that out there. I think that's a really valuable stat when it comes to him. He's been in the league for 5 years. His lowest season was 3 touchdowns. His highest was 8.
Hey, Joe, I'm changing the subject real quick, but
that's fine.
What do you think of Jonathan Allen? Have you did any research on him and all? Because I'm thinking about him in a trade scenario with the Commanders, and how would he fit being the 3 technique to compete with not compete, but to have Javon behind him, but him being that 3 technique. So what is your ideas on that?
I don't hate it. I think it's something that it's that depth that we talked about, right?
Right.
It's kind of getting helping nurture that defense to where it needs to be. So I don't hate it. And I think we're going to have a lot of conversations with the Commanders that could potentially be in a package for a first round pick as well. So I think you'll see multiple first rounders. You'll see a couple players tossed in there. I love it, PJ. I actually like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that too, PJ.
He's only 28 years old, by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
He's right in Sweat's timeline.
My only concern with Jonathan Allen is the money. That's it. Really.
That's the problem.
I think he's averaging $14 million a year.
His cap number is 21.5 next year.
Yeah. I knew it was more than that.
That's because of the signing bonus that he already got, though, I believe. I think he's actually the hard money that he's getting is only like 14 1 year, then 15 another year. And because he's only signed through 26, I believe.
He signed through 26. His base salary is 14 million. You're right there. But once you add up all like the roster bonuses and whatnot, it comes out to 21.5 even. It's like 8% of the entire Commander salary cap right now. And then it goes to 23 and 25.
No, that's what I was going to say. Steve's got it on there. You work out some sort of a deal where they're going to pay at least a major portion.
Yeah,
of it.
you'd have to.
And you do that, and a lot of people are going to hate this, but you guys saw Dexter play some of the end position, if you remember. Did you remember seeing him play the end? Because he looked good in my eyes. He could rotate outside if there's a problem with defensive end because he's done it already. I'm not saying you're going to like it, but I like flexibility, and I know so does Poles, man, and he's capable. He's coming along very nicely, man, and it's just a thought because options are nice, and so is flexible players.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but yeah, I'm just waiting for that Jared Verse card to come up in the draft, and all good there.
Let's see what Poles does, man.
He probably will.
The whole point is like none of this matters. Like this is just all opinions and our own personal statements, and it's fun to do this as Bears fans, and not get on top of each other and insult each other for having opinions, because that's what opinions are. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. And it's nice to know that we all have one.
They all stink.
Exactly. They all stink. No matter what you do, unless you have a bidet. That's your best chance.
It still stinks.
Okay. Looking at Jonathan Allen's contract, I see $14 million as a base, with a roster being 941,000 and some change, and a workout being 500. The cap hit being 21 because of the signing bonus that he already got, which was prorated for this year or next year being at $6 million. That's what I'm saying. If the Bears get him, we're not paying that $6 million. We're only going to be paying him $14 million 1 year, I think, and 15 the other year, if I'm not mistaken. Is that not? Am I reading that contract wrong?
Depends on how it's written. You'd have to. I mean,
it was a 4-year. It was a 4-year, $72 million contract with, I guess, $30 million being the signing bonus. So that $30 million is already paid. So that's not something we're paying. So when I'm looking at what he's owed in 24, it's $14 million. Then they got the signing bonus down there, which we're not paying. Then the $900,000 for the roster bonus and $500,000 for the workout. So that's us paying him basically $15 million. Then the next year, being 25, $15 million on the base salary. Then they got that signing bonus in there, which again we're not paying. A roster bonus of $1 million and a $500,000 workout bonus. So the point I'm saying is, I think we're only going to be paying him about $15 million a year, and that's a pretty decent price. Am I wrong on that?
That's not
on
terrible.
That contract.
PJ, let me ask you a pivot off that for a second.
Okay.
What do you think it would cost us to get Danielle Hunter away from the Vikings? Because he is a free agent.
I think he's going to cost close to
unrestricted free agent.
I think he's going to cost what Sweat is costing.
Yeah, 25 mil.
Yeah.
It'd be great, but it's a little pricey for our pocketbooks.
I agree.
They got to watch what they're spending on the defensive line here, because they've dumped draft picks and money into it.
Yeah,
I'm just saying though, you add Danielle Hunter to this defensive line, and this team is top 3 defense in the league.
But according to Flus,
how come PJ didn't bring up Chase Young?
Well, I was about ready to actually. But according to Flus, the 3 technique is the engine that runs this whole ship. So that's why I'm looking at Jonathan Allen and him only costing us about 15. And to
value for sure.
Yeah, to Foster's point, Chase Young won't cost you as much as Danielle Hunter or Burns will cost you.
Absolutely. So that's why the Bears mess everything up, and they trade back and they get, I don't know, just pick a wide receiver, maybe MHJ, and they take Desert Newton out of Illinois, and there's their 3-tech for the next 8 to 10 seasons.
I'm not impressed with him. What do you think about him, Joe?
Oh, with who? I'm sorry.
Desert Newton out of Illinois.
Yeah.
I'm not impressed either, frankly.
Okay. All right.
I think
I've been watching film for a short guy. The guy's got leverage, and he seems to be very quick off that line, man.
Again, I don't think he's bad. I just think if he falls, I would certainly like him better.
Gotcha. That's
from
where I'm at too.
For where he is getting drafted, though,
he needs to fall.
He's like 6'2", 295. Seem like I think he is.
He's like 6 feet. He's short.
6'2", 290. And I was not impressed from what I've seen on tape. I mean, I know they're hyping him up, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not. I would rather have Jonathan Allen, honestly.
Same.
I'm just going. I was watching some tape, and it seemed to me that coming off the line, a guy they were showing quarterbacks with short drops, and the guy was in their face. So I don't know what film you're watching. I know mine says Illinois on it, and when I watch it, I'm going, holy crap, because nobody could have done I didn't see anybody do what he was doing on some of the tape that I saw. Not all of it, because he had bad things too, just like everybody else. Mm-hmm. But the sidestep and the speed up the middle, he was in that quarterback's face, and it was like it was a one-step drop, and he almost got to him. So, and I'm just getting this one play sticking out in my head, which is terrible because it's only one play. But
I seem to remember watching the highlights of this Newton guy, and I think he played for Illinois, if I'm not mistaken. And he was not very impressive with his highlights. So I didn't watch every game, just the highlights. And what I saw was a guy who was good, but first round good, no.
No. I mean, if anything, I'm going to go with Mason Smith out of LSU, just declared to the draft 2 days ago.
That's like another guy.
He's 6'6", 315. I mean, this year his stats they weren't bad, 2.5 sacks. I know he missed that first game against Florida State, and he had the ACL injury last year, like jumping up and down on the field celebrating. But, I mean, the guy could be a beast at 3-tech, and it doesn't really cost you all that much money. It's going to cost you probably a day 2 pick, but we'll get plenty of those.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I just don't. 6, I mean, to me, if we're going to go with a 3 technique, I mean, I like the idea of what you just mentioned, Walt, but it seems like that's a clone of Javon Dexter. And if I'm going to go with another 3 technique, I would rather have somebody who's a little bit opposite body-wise. That's why I'm looking more at the Jonathan Allen per se. I mean, because I was interested in Newton. That's why I bothered to look him up. And then when I actually seen him, I was like, nah, this is not the guy for me.
Okay.
Just my opinion.
All right. Well, I mean, Jonathan Allen's only 6'3". It's a 3-inch difference. It's
that's what I'm saying.
Relevant in the grand scheme of things.
But I will say, to your point, I know Flus tends to like longer guys, especially at that 3 technique. That's why he went with Buckner, Dexter. So maybe the guy from LSU will be his guy.
Possibly. I mean, it was a pretty high, pretty big pick coming in, and then he had the injury concerns and all that. I mean, if you're looking at NFL draft buzz, they have his running mate Wingo there as the #1 defensive tackle prospect.
Okay.
He's 3rd. Where is Newton right now? I don't know if they have him listed as a straight defensive lineman here. Sometimes they do that. Let's have a look. Newton. Yeah, so they have Newton as number 2, with their rating as like an 89.5.
Okay.
So
behind Mingle?
No, he's that's 2 overall, including whatchamacallit, the defensive ends.
Oh, okay.
So like Wingo's an 85 and he's an 88, and I mean these are all just proprietary ratings. So do with what you will.
So based on your thoughts after this entire conversation, when do you think that Poles is going to trade that pick as quickly as he did last year, or
Probably
wait
not.
it out?
Go ahead, Joe.
I think he'll do it quicker. I think he's going to do it sooner than they did last year.
Wow. Okay.
I think the second the Commanders hire Bill Belichick, that deal will be done. In 2 days.
I agree with you, Joe. Cole said though he was going to hold on to that pick into April. So I heard it somewhere from him. So I don't know if
he
he's
said
on radio.
He said he would like to, but
Right,
in his mind right now, he would like to hold on to it too. But it doesn't mean he will.
I agree with Joe though, man. That's what he's going to do, man. He's going to, when the right deal comes along, he will jump at it because it has to wow him, like he says. So he's going to make that deal, and I hope it is with Washington because they got a bunch of stuff they can throw at us, man. Players, picks.
Yeah.
Well, I would disagree with Joe for the fact that I think if Belichick actually goes there, he is going to try to not be duped by the Bears. So therefore, it may take longer. I think it still get done. I just think it'll get done. It'll take longer than as opposed to sooner.
I hope we hose whoever it is.
It'd be nice to trade down to 2 and then take 2 and trade down to 4 or something and still get MHJ, pick up a shitload of picks, maybe even another one. You can't even think about the amount of picks we could get with that double trade down scenario. So that would be sick.
Have you changed your mind, Shorty?
It's 2 hours later, PJ. He could do that now.
Hey, didn't I say that you guys were? I was just pontificating, and the panel has spoken.
Yeah, but I wanted to bring up Illinois Jones. You had it up here. He was talking about Dallas Turner. Yeah. I honestly love Dallas Turner. My one issue with Dallas Turner and the Alabama guys and Will Anderson's a little different, but he plays more so out of a 3-point stance, and I don't know. He's fast, but I don't know if he can convert to the general hand in the dirt defensive end that Flus likes more so than say a Verse or a Chop Robinson.
Man.
Good point.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah, I'm concerned a little bit about his weight too. Isn't he like 246, something like that? A little bit concerned, I should say.
Maybe Yannick Ngakoue is 246.
Yeah, and that's why he sucks in run defense, probably.
I think he tunnel visions on the pass rush.
That's a good question by Jeremy Munoz. Ian Cunningham goes to Washington. Will he already know what the Bears are planning to do, and does that hurt the Bears' position?
I was going to bring that up too, actually. So it's like in my brain. I was thinking about it as either it's going to make the trade a lot easier, or he's going to pull a Bernadotte when he became king of Sweden and just completely screw us.
Yeah.
Can Ian Cunningham and Bill Belichick coexist in Washington?
Wait, can Bill Belichick and anyone coexist?
That's the point I'm making. So how much power would Ian Cunningham have if Bill Belichick's then the coach? What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, that's a great question because I thought Bill was going to have a lot of say, and I'm sure you don't bring Bill Belichick in without letting him have a big say. But
no,
I think they have to coexist. I don't think there's because they're unless they hire Bill tomorrow and they say he's the GM too, so forget you guys that we interviewed. But they're interviewing a lot of candidates right now for that position in Washington right now. So I think Adam Peters is another finalist over there. So,
and I know before we came out on the show, there was a blurb saying that they're fairly close to announcing a decision on that. And the thing is, too, we got to ask: is Bill Belichick even going to Washington? I don't know what he's going to do. I know in the press conference he said he wants to continue coaching, but at the same time, he's pretty old.
Well, I'll say this: I think. Listen. Looking at, I believe it's somebody's in. It was Doug Van Dorn's comment as far as Bill having personnel choice. I think while I don't believe a head coach is never can have the position of assistant GM, by default they are assistant GM, because that's what the GM does, is refer to the head coach and say, hey, what do you need? I think Bill would be the type of person that he's always been. Wherever he's go, he want to have control of the personnel. So that's going to make a big difference on where he goes. And if a team's looking for a GM, they hire a GM. I don't see them getting one.
Yeah, see, I don't think Belichick. I got a feeling he'll go somewhere else because the guy, he's 72. Do you think he's going to hang around for a rebuild? It's just a question.
No,
because this was my thought too. Just like I talked about with Harbaugh, he's going to go. He wants to go somewhere where he's already got most of the team together, man. So it's not going to be.
That's why it was the Bears, and he has the #1 pick and all the picks he can get.
I'm not talking. Stop. I'll take you off, man. I'm not talking about the Bears. I'm talking about Harbaugh I said he might go to the Chargers, man. It's a ready-made situation there. Same with
so are the Bears. Damn it.
There's a little difference between the Bears and the Chargers right now. Not much, but there's a little difference.
Well, the biggest difference is that the Bears are in the NFC.
Chargers got some better depth. Too bad they all got hurt on and off throughout the season.
I think what you have to consider with Bill is he has to have a young team that he can mold, because if he goes to a team that has veterans, it's going to take a lot to get into the Bill Belichick way. And I don't know if veterans will be willing to buy into it. So I think you have to factor that in. So that makes a big difference. He needing to go to a team that has some young guys with some draft picks that he can be able to get the players he wants.
Fair enough.
I wanted Shorty to read that, see if I could piss him off a little more. Because Doug Van Dorn said, I think Harbaugh is going to replace Belichick in New England because Kraft likes his head coach to run the drafting and personnel acquisitions. And that's Harbaugh's a take control guy.
I'm trying to respond to Steve Mee, man. Come on, don't ruin my evening even more.
My opinion about Harbaugh, if I may, real quick, I think he goes to an NFC team just because he don't want to butt heads with his brother in the AFC, unless it's in the Super Bowl.
Honestly, he'll probably stay in Michigan, to be honest.
Take the $125 million and call it a day.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe pull another championship before he hangs it up. He's 62.
PZ, the Josh McDaniels tree. What's up, PZ? Thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, I'm real curious to see what New England does. I think, to what was just said earlier, the guy from Tennessee, he might end up in
Vrabel. Yeah,
Vrabel. I think he might end up there.
Yeah, Vrabel goes to New England with Josh McDaniels as the offensive coordinator. You can book it now.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
What is it, like the 6th time Josh McDaniels has been on New England again?
Yep.
Yeah.
Won't be the last.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that, Joe. Totally agree with that.
What are they going to do, Joe? Let him go? They're going to let him go in 2 years and then bring him back the year after one more time?
Yeah, he'll be the ball boy or something.
All right, Joe, what do you got? What do you want to talk about? Because we've been doing this crap. We
have to wrap this up here as soon anyways. So let's just kind of give us your.
There's some pretty sweet playoff football coming up this weekend, gents. I don't know about you guys, but I'm looking forward to that.
Let's talk
football all weekend.
Playoff football.
I'm all for it, man. Oh, I'm gonna flip the bird. I like it.
No, not you. I got kicked out of the show.
Oh, there he is. He's gone.
All right, let's talk playoff football.
Let's do it, man. Playoffs, man. It all starts off. I'm really looking forward to this Browns-Houston game. You get to see C.J. Stroud against Joe Flacco. A good defense.
The defense.
I mean, the Browns' defense is elite. I've been talking about them all season, whether it's on Fantasy Football Goon, my fantasy show on the Barroom Network, or my show with Vinny Parisi, Crosstown Crosstalk, A lot of talk about the Browns and that defense.
Right.
And I'm going to go ahead and say it right now, boys. They're my Super Bowl pick.
The Browns?
The Browns.
Wow.
That defense is good enough. With Joe Flacco, that offense is more than good enough. And you can get them at 35-1 right now on DraftKings if you put down any money.
I saw that.
Talking about that betting.
Or not, or at BetUS, I mean.
BetUS.
Sorry.
There you go.
Oh, is it?
There you go.
Look, I'm looking right at it.
Should we do a plug for it? Should we do another plug for it?
Yes, you should.
Let's do it.
I set it up.
BetUS. Every sports bettor's favorite sports book. They have a bunch of great perks as well as exceptional service. Use the link in the description and get a 125% sign-up bonus. Place your sports bets with BetUS. You'll help out the channel, man. You if you want to bet on the Super Bowl, go put $50 down on BetUS. You'll get a bunch of perks and you'll help the channel. Use that link. It's also in the description of the channel and the show. Thank you guys. Much love. I'm done. Go ahead.
Look at that. I set up a plug for you guys. How about that?
Did, thank you.
35-1.
You reminded me, Joe.
What can I say? It's gonna be an interesting game. The Browns against Houston. A couple weeks ago, the Browns absolutely demolished Houston. Their secondary is not great. Their defense is as a whole, but the secondary is pretty bad. I don't expect anything to change, but I think C.J. Stroud's going to continue to look good, but Browns pull away with that one.
So you think he'll look good against the Browns defense, C.J. Stroud?
I think C.J. Stroud will have flashes of brilliance in the spotlight, but not enough to get it home.
Well, I mean, to your credit, Joe, in the Colts game, you remember they were talking about in the first half, he had no pressures on him whatsoever. He did fine. Yep. As soon as Colts dialed up that pressure, it went down a little bit.
Disappeared.
Yeah.
And the Browns ain't going to wait till halftime to dial pressure, man.
No, they're not.
No, I mean the Colts should have won that game. They shot themselves in the foot.
I was on a show earlier today, and these guys are all taking the Texans. I was the only one taking the Browns, and I'm like, I literally said to them, dude, the Browns are probably the only team that could take Baltimore out and make the Super Bowl. And they were kind of laughing at me, and I'm going, have you looked at the defense? And then Flacco's going to do whatever it takes to win because this could be his last go-round. He's like 38, man.
Yeah, and he can ride off into the sunset. I mean, David Njoku is proven to be one of the best tight ends in the league when he has a quarterback that knows how to use them.
Yep.
They have more than serviceable running backs between Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt. And their defense is lights out. Amari Cooper could be the MVP of all of the playoffs with how good he's been with Joe Flacco. Don't sleep on the Browns. That's all I'm saying.
And when I had those guys earlier in the year, Amari Cooper and Njoku, they weren't. I had them on my fantasy team, Guillotine League, Joe. All the guys I had are now playing insane. I'm talking even a bunch of my backups, Zamir White, Khalil Shakur on Buffalo. Those were guys I had at the beginning that.
Well, it's amazing what happens when you get a quarterback that knows how to sling it.
Yep. We go to the next game.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't think there's a bad game all weekend.
Mm-mm.
What are you going to be? What do you think is going to be, in your prediction, going to be the biggest upset?
The biggest upset, and for me, again, some people might not see this as an upset, but I do. I think the Miami Dolphins are going to take out the Kansas City Chiefs.
So do I. I said that today too, man.
Wow. And by the way, guys, you can watch that game exclusively on Peacock on Saturday.
You brought that up. I got Peacock. I'm boycotting that game because they're training.
Thank you. I meant to plug Peacock too. Yeah, and we're also brought to you by Peacock.
They're training us though to stream games so that they can start charging us by the game, guys. It's going to happen.
I'll take that over having to pay for every game that I don't need to watch. I just want to watch the Bears games.
Yeah, when you got to pay, $500. I didn't hear what you said, Walt.
I said I'm going to go grab my tinfoil hat now.
It's coming, dude. It's coming. Mark my words, it's coming. As soon as this TV contract is up, They're done. They're done with TV, dude.
What do you guys, Joe? What do you think about the way the Eagles are trending? Seems like they're trending down.
I think I'm going to go as far as to say, PJ, they're going to lose to the Buccaneers.
That's what I say too, Joe.
See, that to me is the biggest upset.
So
But the reason I don't think it is the biggest upset is because the Eagles have been dog shit.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost to the freaking Giants to end the season.
Yeah.
Agreed, man.
But again, it's still an upset. It's just not the big. To me, it's not the biggest.
They're nothing. They're nothing like they were in mid-November, man. It's just not the same team, man.
No, not at all.
My upset for this weekend is the Packers beating the Cowboys.
You think so? Whoa. That's quite the upset.
That is the upset there.
That's what happens when the Packers beat us. They go on.
I said I got the Packers winning that game 27-24.
I set you up, PJ.
Matter of fact, on X, Steve broadcasted. I did the Packers show last night, and he made a separate video of me picking the Packers. I'm glad none of you guys saw it, but now you know anyway. So I got that as an upset.
And you didn't pull him? Well,
he's probably stunned.
I'm very surprised because Micah Parsons is going to run over Jordan Love.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too.
I hope he does. I just got a gut feeling that the defense is going to show up, and Love is going to look. He's going to have his best game of the season.
And even then, you have Brand at quarterback. Get out of here, Foster.
Yeah, I don't see that one. I mean, it would be like the most Cowboys thing ever, though. But I just don't. I don't see it.
Yeah,
right.
No, it'd be the most Packers thing ever, not the most Cowboys thing ever.
No, it'd be the most Cowboys thing ever because that's what they do. I want to see how
that's what the Packers do.
I want to see how their running game goes against the Packers, man.
I mean, Jordan Love and the Packers scored 17 points on us, and we were playing like absolute crap that game. So imagine what the Cowboys defense is going to do. It's going to straight up just piss on them.
Just make sure you imagine. We'll find out over the weekend, man.
Yep. We got Steelers.
I want both those teams to just disappear anyways and never be heard from again.
Yeah, could happen.
I mean, I will say one thing that's probably going to be a definite is Josh Allen's going to throw at least one interception.
So I was just about to say, we got Steelers, Bills.
Yeah. That's. I mean, that game, I got the Bills winning it big. Watt's out. Their defense is going to have problems without Watt in the lineup, dude. I think I literally said something like 27-9 Buffalo in that game. And that's if the Pittsburgh defense can come up enough to just hold them to 27, man.
Yeah, I agree with Mark Kazak here. He's like, Dallas isn't losing at home. As long as they know how to read that giant clock that's on the end of the field.
Dallas should have lost at home to the Lions, but they didn't because there's referees involved too.
Yeah, they try to get cute and bring up two guys, and even the referee said there was another penalty being called anyway, so it was going to get called back.
To address Steve's comment here, Kansas City's own wide receivers won't be able to catch the ball in this game either, and it's a Tyreek Hill revenge game, so I think that's how they beat him.
Yeah, this is for people in audio stream. Steve's asking, how do you think Miami beats KC in negative 30-degree wind chill with no pass rush and a Tyreek Hill running in 5 feet of snow? Go ahead, Foster.
I was going to say, the biggest issue in Kansas City is going to be the weather for the Miami Dolphins. That's going to be their biggest issue. It ain't going to be the guys catching the ball for Kansas City.
There's going to be some bad weather this week.
Well, Miami's not going to be able to catch the ball. And my response was, well, I think the Chiefs are the only team that has more drops than the Bears this season.
And also, which team there has the better running backs? Oh, yeah, it's the Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins.
The weather's going to be real bad this weekend there. Absolutely. So, yeah.
Well, I hear a lot of people aren't even going to that game that got tickets because of that weather. They're just like, if it's going to be like that, they're not even going to go.
I wouldn't.
This is from people in Kansas City.
The blizzard's coming, baby.
Yep.
Great. I fly into Chicago on Sunday for a freaking blizzard. Yay.
Oh, good luck, dude.
I'm surprised you didn't get here, Shorty, to be honest with you.
They might even cancel your flight, dude, before it happens.
I knew I should have driven with my 4-wheel drive truck.
Joe, you got me thinking. You know, I've been thinking
like
since
that.
you brought this up. What do you think of Bill Belichick and Carolina?
Oh, I hate it.
Yeah, no.
I'll tell you why. Because nobody wants to work with that owner, and I guarantee you, Bill Belichick doesn't.
But do you not think that that's probably be the only person that owner will actually requiesce to and be like, look, okay, you do your thing, I'm out.
I just don't see any way that they get a coach like him to come there unless they drop all the money in the world to Bill.
Nice word, PJ.
You know, I don't like to use big words often, but when I do, I use drippy dicks.
Oh shit!
Terrible, PJ.
I can't get to it quick enough.
Terrible. What other game we got there, Joe?
I'm Dr. Dick Richards. You may know my brother Chim Richards from the iconic film Anchorman, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about my revolutionary new product, Drippy Dicks. Have you ever thought you were...
I love it.
I don't know what's worse, the commercial there, or you actually owning that suit?
I bought that suit for a Halloween costume.
Yeah.
Traded.
And guys, we've got a doozy of a Sunday night football game too. You got Rams, Lions, Stafford going back to Detroit.
Ooh. Yes.
Heck of a matchup.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Probably the game of the week.
Yes.
Well, it is. It's 8:00. That's the prime time.
The prime time game.
Yep.
They should have put that game on Monday night, in my eyes, because that is the game for me, anyways.
How is that going to work, though?
There's no Monday night games in the playoffs.
It is this year.
There is this week.
Oh, there is?
I'm like, where have you been?
And how is that going to work?
In a box?
Does that team guaranteed not to play on Saturday? Whoever wins on Monday? Are they guaranteed?
So.
I would think so.
Yeah, because that'd be a real short week.
Hey, did they make that Philadelphia Tampa game on Monday to give Hurts an extra day for his thumb?
Maybe.
Just a question. Just a question.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, that'll be the shortest week ever in playoff history. I think that a team play on a Monday, and then if they turn around.
Wait. Is that which one of you two old men are farting over there in the background? Sounds like you guys are farting. Oh, is that? Wait, are you in fart mode now? Are you that old, PJ? I thought you were. I didn't think you were that old. Every movement you make a fart. You're not a fart walker, are you?
Steve. Steve.
I do not know what's wrong with this guy, man, but he just been wanting to fight me all night.
Now he's accusing me of farting.
It's true. It's been nonstop.
He just want to fight with me, and I'm trying to tell him, I'm like, guy, man, you come to Illinois, I will find you.
I'll be there this weekend, man. I'll be there this weekend. Come on. I'm coming there this weekend.
Foster, to answer your
1 second.
Let's dance. Let's dance, PJ. Come on, let's dance.
Because Steve said he'd go to that game in Kansas City, and Mo Bierman just said the tickets for the KC game are pretty cheap on the resale market. One of the baseball coaches got 3 rows behind the Chiefs bench for about $100 a ticket. So if anybody wants to go to Kansas City to see a playoff game, now would be the time. Speak now.
You couldn't pay me to sit out in a blizzard in the snow.
I'm with you, Joe. Couldn't pay me.
December 26, 1993. My mustache and my beard froze. I won't even go to Soldier Field in December, dude. Won't even do it.
Could not pay me.
Enough, let alone Kansas City in January. No thanks.
I'll be in my house. Thanks.
Yep.
The best seat in the house.
That's right. Watching it. We get back to that, Joe. Go ahead.
To answer your question about that Rams-Lions game, I've gone back and forth a million times, and I talked about it earlier with Vinny. And I think it's going to come down to the last play of the game. It's going to be a field goal. And I think the home team, I think the Lions take it. I think it's going to be one of those things. The home field's going to help. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a high-scoring game, I think. And it could really go either way, but I just feel like the home team, the Lions, edge it out by a field goal. But I think there's going to be over 60 points scored in this game.
Joe, I got 38-35 Lions.
Yeah, see?
That's what I got today in my prediction anyways for them, man.
I like that. But, I mean, the Rams could easily take it. They're a great offense, too.
That's the thing, and their defense has been playing better, too.
All right, Joe. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Because, it's kind of along the lines of you talking about, the Rams. Who are your top 5 coaches in the league right now?
Wow, I don't think
top 3, top 5.
Shoot, I don't think I've ever thought about that. Let's see. So not just this year, you just mean in general?
No, I'm talking about if you were hiring and you could have any coach right now, what would be your top 3 or top 5?
TJ, you suck.
Well, because there's a reason why I'm asking this question.
For sure.
Because I want to lead to my second part of the question.
Yeah, let me think. I think I got to include Andy Reid on the list.
Okay.
Man, I don't know why, but I love Dan Campbell. I'm not a Lions fan. I love Dan Campbell and how the dude approaches the game. For me to include him in the top coaches is probably insanity, but I just love the way he handles his team.
That's a curveball.
So I'm gonna do that. I like Sean McVay a lot.
Okay.
Who else am I missing here? I like Kyle Shanahan, but I don't know. I'll put Shanahan on the list. Why not?
Okay.
And of course, I got to include Bill Belichick, and so I think that's probably my. Mike Tomlin as well.
Okay. So the second part of that question is, with 2 of those guys being McVay and Shanahan, Bears are looking at a guy in the offensive coordinator that comes from their tree.
Yep.
So that to me is what's intriguing about our offensive coordinators that we're connected to so far, running that system, being in that system. So myself, my top 3 was like Shanahan, McVay, and Andy Reid. I think because of how they run their offenses, just great. But
for sure,
that was the point of my questions. That seeing where your mind is and the coaches, and then a possibility of getting someone from that tree is pretty good.
Yeah, I would love to get somebody from that 49ers tree, especially that's why I'm loving the potential Kubiak hire.
Yeah, because when you look at like I kept wondering, where are the plays from the McVay and the LaFleur coaching tree coming from Getsy? I didn't see many of them. I've seen some people say in chat that they have seen them. I personally don't remember seeing that many of them. And then I started thinking about it. It's like, oh, wait a second. Luke Getsy was Mike McCarthy's quarterback coach. Kubiak or LaFleur retained him. So he's not really a LaFleur descendant. He's not really a McVay descendant.
Right.
And I think that's where the shortcomings came. I think he was trying to incorporate 2 different versions of offense that he has learned over the years or more to try to be someone, to be the smartest guy in the field per se. And so I like the idea of a Kubiak, since, the panel has won this argument. PJ.
There's no
Walt.
It never was an argument.
So if my only choice is to just roll with what this team is doing and be optimistic, PJ, optimistic, Walt, about this team, and then think, if we're going to go a new offensive coordinator, I like the idea of Kubiak. That would be someone that would intrigue me for sure. Would he come here with a lame duck coach? Quack, 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 quack.
Yes, he would.
I'll be right back, guys.
I think so too, man. What do you think of mine there, Joe? I got Reed, Shanahan, I don't really have the order right. Reed, Shanahan, McVay, Tomlin, Harbaugh.
Yeah.
And I threw Campbell in there as my last guy that's pretty close to the order for me, I guess. I think that's close enough.
Yeah.
So there's 6 of them right there. Is that what I'm looking at? 6?
Yeah, because I threw Campbell in there, man. It's my 5 plus.
I think I put. See, for me,
hold, PJ, just so you know, like Tomlin Harbaugh is not one person. So yeah, it is 6. Yeah.
So for me, when I look at Reed, Shanahan, and McVay, those are like offensive geniuses in my mind. And then when I look at Belichick, Tomlin, even Campbell to a degree, and Harbaugh, seem like they're more like, whatever you give me, I'm going to work something out. They mold things to where they don't have a specific style. They can seem like they adapt and do well, maybe not always succeed on the highest level, but seem like they work with what they got to do a fairly good job, except for the last few years for Belichick. But overall, seem like that's what they do, and that therefore, because we don't have a culture here in Chicago, that it's like, okay, we are this type of team, and we can get these coaches to mold these guys. I would rather go with that offensive-minded guy who can, well, not always an offense, but a strong enough personality to where you can enforce this wheel of offense that you're going to run.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
To answer this question from Mr. Mayhem, can we hire Kubiak if they're not eliminated?
No.
So then I think if Kubiak's their guy, then they're not going to hire him for a while, because I don't think the 49ers are getting eliminated anytime soon.
Yeah, because of that. Remember when Wannstedt, we did that with Wannstedt, and I think after that they made the rule that you can't hire. You can interview them, but you can't hire them until after they're done.
And if they do have somebody by next week, it would be the Seahawks guy.
Yeah,
right. I'm going to say that.
Yeah, I'm loving the fact that they actually looking at those type of guys, though. That's what I'm really liking. That's encouraging. I mean, the fact that the first 2 that they're linked to actually interviewing and talking to are guys from this system, which encourages me. Like, hey, we ain't got to learn a whole new offense. We got the same verbiage, got the same things going on, and we can continue with what we've been doing already. So that's very encouraging. I feel better now, having heard the Kubiak during this conversation tonight, than I did before we started the podcast tonight.
Me too. I do too.
I love the fact that Poles is so on it that the minute that it was announced that Warren was going to be available, he jumped on it.
Yeah.
He picked up the phone and come on in, dude.
Yep.
And that's, again, it's the guy's always working, and that's why I just what he does is I'm going to follow what he does, man, because there's a reason for everything he does the way he does it, and we know this. Things are not going to work out, but he's been accountable. Yeah, Claypool was a mistake. Yeah, this guy was a mistake. This isn't working out. Whatever it is. Yeah, we got another question here too. Thought I'd hit some questions while we're sitting here.
Okay.
Trying to get rid of Shorty, but it didn't work. He keeps coming back, man. Illinois Jones says, does anyone want Joe Alt starting at left tackle for the Bears for the next 10 years?
Not at the price we have to get him.
Draft him?
Yes, that's what I mean.
Okay,
the price of drafting him was in the top 8.
That's probably where he's going to go.
Yeah,
7 or 8, in my opinion. I don't know what you think, Joe.
Yeah, it would be too high, I think.
Okay.
when there's plenty of serviceable
right
in the draft that won't go that high.
right. And Braxton is, I mean, realistically, how many bad games did he have? 1.5.
That last one was pretty bad too.
That's the one I'm talking about, because that was just terrible game, man. And look at how bad Tevin played too, though.
So Joe, is your expertise per se is in the draft, the college guys?
Me, not particularly. No, I'm more of like, I focus on, at least for my barroom stuff, I focus on fantasy football and statistics and just the eye. Okay. I don't have draft background. I mean, I watch college ball, but
the reason why I'm asking, because I had a scenario where, you know, Bears traded down and we ended up with 3 first-round draft picks. And I was looking at the left tackle for Georgia. What do you think of him? Mims, I think his name is?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched a crazy amount of film, but I watched enough Georgia football to know that he's, no pun intended, he's a dog.
Okay. Because that's what I was wondering, because I'm like, you know, if we can get a guy in to at least challenge Braxton Jones, I mean, but in Mims' case, I mean, if he wins, I mean, I'm all for it. But I was like, that'd be my perfect scenario. Marvin Jones, Jared Verse, and Mims all in the first round after some trade backs. And that's what I was thinking, like, man, that could solve our problem.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Yeah. I mean, that would be. I mean, do you like him better than Latham? Mark Kazak has got a question about Latham from, I think, Alabama. Am I correct? JC Latham?
I'm trying to think. I've definitely seen both of these guys because I watched a lot of Georgia and a lot of Alabama.
Yeah.
I would say Alabama. I mean, both lines are just spectacular. So
yeah,
I haven't watched any specific film on these guys, but I will say that I really, really like what I saw out of Georgia's O-line, because their running game was just, you know, ground and pound.
Right.
So I think I'd prefer the guy from Georgia.
Now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Mims is playing right tackle for Georgia right now, but they said he could play left. Nah, because I don't follow college football, though. I'll be the first to admit that. So, but I thought that's what I read. So I was just wondering about him.
Yeah, Mims is the right tackle.
Okay.
Amarius Mims, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I just want to tell you and Dan both, because I know you guys don't do fantasy, but even though you don't, man, during the season, go check these guys out. What is it?
Fantasy Football Goon on the Barroom
Fantasy
Network.
Football Goons, man. Check it out. Check out the show, because you will pick up some information there, even though you don't do fantasy, because they talk in depth about these guys and what they're going through on the season. And when you're trying to put together a fantasy team and you're going to pick, guys roll in there and ask these guys questions, and then they give you information on each one of the players. And if it's a good pick for a fantasy week, it's a good pick for that team to have, or somebody that we could be interested in the future. And they're on the money with their shit, man. I mean it. Check it out.
I peeked into the fantasy football Goons show, but I don't care about fantasy enough, so I sit there watching because I like Joe.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
And I'm like, I don't give a shit about fantasy football. I'm out of here.
he's like, I like Joe, but he goes, fuck Tooch and fuck Adam, fuck those guys.
Fucking Tooch.
I'm out.
We love Tooch, man.
Tooch to this day keeps calling me Scrody, so fuck Tooch. I'm kidding. I love Tooch.
The Scrody fits.
I love Tooch. That was a joke. I love Tooch. He knows that.
Yeah.
I was surprised Tooch was almost as tall as I was when I met him.
Yeah, he's a tall glass of water, that guy.
Tall glass of water. Yes, he is.
Now, I've never heard it described as a man. I only heard it described as a woman. So I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
Well, that's because you're not pansexual. Jesus Christ, PJ.
I'm definitely not that.
What does that mean?
Sorry, I thought you were.
I don't even know what that means.
I'm as hetero and straight arrow as you come.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I heard of hetero, but I've never heard of pan. Okay, that's okay. All right.
Mo Beerman asking, this season was indeed nuttier than most, between injuries and backups and guys getting hurt and 4 quarterbacks in Cleveland. It was insane. It was probably the craziest season ever, and I was amazed that my teams even finished at 500 or above. So can't wait for next year to hopefully not be as crazy.
Now, Mark Kazak asks a question. What about Jordan Morgan from Arizona? Now, did we not draft a Jordan Morgan before?
I drafted Captain Morgan.
No, I mean, seriously. Did we have a player on our team named Jordan Morgan before?
Pick, Joe.
I honestly don't know.
We drafted him underneath, was it Fox or Tressman? He was a tackle in college, and we tried to make him into a guard.
Swift says yes.
Yeah, I thought because we had a Jordan Mills, then we had a Jordan Morgan. I think when Jordan Morgan left us, he went to the Jets or something like that. But hey, Swifty, to my earlier question to you, what about the left tackle or being able to move? Do you think Mims can move to left tackle? Oh, okay. He already answered that. He said he has never played left tackle, so it's hard to say. Okay.
Real quick, Dave C. Dave C., I've never seen you in the show before, but thank you so much for joining us, Dave C. We appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. He says, great show, guys. Could you guys see the Giants trading up for the first pick? Ooh,
yes, you could.
Question. It's a good question.
Really?
I think they're done with Jones.
Wow. I mean, I can see them trading up for a quarterback, but to go all the way to number 1, see, I thought they would be more content trying to get the Daniels kid. So you can actually see that, huh, Joe? Going to number 1.
Hey,
I've seen numerous draft experts with mock drafts having the Giants trade up.
Wow.
And I gotta think that where there's smoke, there's a little bit of fire. So I'm sure I've seen more Commanders at 1 than anything else, for the record, in all the mocks, but I have seen the Giants in there, so I believe there's a little bit of smoke there.
I'll tell you what.
My thing is, how do they work that with that huge contract they just gave him?
Yeah.
Was it $22 million a year or something like that?
40.
He sits behind Daniel Jones for a year or two, and that contract plays out for a bit.
Nah, I don't see it. I think whoever get drafted number 1, they will be starting.
Stephen Me. Oh, the Giants.
Stephen Me. By the way, Stephen Me is like ripe and ready tonight. Like Steve used to be Stephen Me, right? I remember Stephen Me from all the barroom chats.
Yep.
So I think he changed it to Steve. He went a little more proactive instead of being so formal with Stephen. But he's been lit up tonight, Stephen. Steve Me, you've been lit up tonight, man. I appreciate you hanging out with us tonight and giving us your honest opinions of how you feel tonight, man. I love it. Thank you.
Plot twist in the trade for the first pick, Daniel Jones is included, and they eat his contract as well. And then that's our new quarterback.
There you go, man. Oh, well. Take it.
Man, I would boom it out.
I would roll over and
Yeah.
Probably die.
Ain't ever gonna happen.
I know.
Yeah. Another one. Illinois Jones is another. He's a newbie tonight that we haven't seen tonight. Illinois Jones, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. We appreciate you, man. Thank you for your time and hanging out with us and venting with us and just talking Bears. Appreciate it, man.
Illinois Jones, man.
I respect you, Illinois Jones, because you're from Peoria. However, I do not know who Caleb Jones is.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
I know Caleb Williams.
Right, I know Caleb Williams. I don't know Caleb Jones.
Oh, no.
He's probably mixing two names together. I want this guy.
Caleb Williams, Daniel Jones.
Exactly.
They're cloned.
Velus Jones.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just think Giants going up to number 1 is a possibility, I guess. But I've never thought about that before. But I guess the top 4 that I say that I think would go up to number one is, of course, the Commanders, New England, Atlanta, and depending on who the coach may be in the Raiders, maybe them. Those would be my top four that I've always thought would go up to number one, or try to go up to number one.
I could see that.
I can see that too.
I don't know, PJ. If you're gonna go outside the top 10, you're gonna have to get a haul and then some.
Yeah.
Those teams.
Yeah.
We have got 4 minutes left on this show. We're ending this at 3 hours, guys. So get the countdown ready. Get in your last final thoughts.
Good night, everybody.
See you later.
Foster's like, I'm out.
1, 2, 3. Bear down.
So, Shorty, tomorrow you're gonna flop back to being Caleb Williams pro again.
Might as well end it with the shit we started with, huh?
Right now, I'm ending the night. I'm going to end the night with trade Justin, get Caleb Williams for the new offensive coordinator.
Okay, we've heard enough of that.
Well, now we flip-flopped. I'm just going to mess with them more, dude. I was going to tell him we all
He's just talking to himself there now.
We want look at him in the back just going insane.
Yeah, see, Swifty did. That's why I just threw him out. It's like enough.
Hey, Joe, I want to thank you, man, for being our guest tonight. Sorry that Shorty and I got in a big rant and didn't get a chance to really interview you, but him and I are like polar opposites on that topic, as you could see. So, but I do want to thank you sincerely for coming on.
Dude, it's no problem, man.
There we go. I'm finally out of my perpetual.
I tried.
There he goes. No, man, it was my pleasure to be on, man. I always love talking football with you guys and whatever format, whether we're talking about Caleb Williams, Justin Fields, playoff football, fantasy football,
Caleb Jones, Justin
spaghetti
Williams.
and catfish.
Catfish and spaghetti. You got to say it right.
Oh,
now.
right. You got to have more. You got to have more catfish than you do
Yeah.
spaghetti. That's
Yeah,
right.
catfish and spaghetti. There you go.
I will report back. I will try it at some point.
You can act like a human being now, Shorty. Oh, still muted.
I muted him because I knew if he got back on, he was just going to start talking again.
But Joe, tell people where they can find you at.
I was trying to keep the perpetual emotion thing going so I could just continue going where I left off, and it wouldn't bring me back on. I'm like, okay,
Go ahead, Joe.
Joe they had a great show today, man. Go ahead, Joe.
For sure. You guys can find me. I do multiple shows on the Barroom Network here. You can go on YouTube and subscribe or find us on Twitter or Facebook as well. I'm sure a lot of you guys already know us. I do a show during football season, which fantasy season, that part's over anyway, but I do a show called Fantasy Football Goon every Sunday from 10:45 Central until kickoff. Help you set your lineups with myself, John Santucci the Tooch, and Adam Sham. I do a show on Thursday. Usually it's on Thursday afternoons with Vinny Parisi on the Barroom Network called Crosstown Crosstalk. We talk all sports. Originally it used to be focused on baseball, but now it's just kind of all Chicago sports in general. And then during baseball season, which, guys, is not that far away, believe it or not, we do a White Sox show called South Burbs Hitmen that I am the host alongside Steven Zimmerman, who is in the chat here tonight, and Vinny Parisi as well. So we bring you baseball, football coverage, a little bit of everything. And you can follow me, of course, on X/Twitter/ whatever you want to call it, at Joe Mandel. It's really straightforward and simple. And make sure you give us a like and subscribe. And if you guys haven't subscribed to the BCP, make sure you do that because they put on a great show here and they greatly support us as well. So hit that like button and subscribe to all of the above.
And it's Joe Mandel and not Mandel.
That's right.
And
How
great.
is Howie doing? Do you
Well
know?
said, Joe Mandel.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Shorty.
Get it wrong.
No, Mr. Scrody. That's how you would say it.
Mr. Scrotum.
Hey, guys in the
Better
chat,
yet.
we appreciate all you guys who joined us tonight. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Let's get to everyone in chat here, man. Illinois Jones, Mayhem, DVD, Swifty, Steve, me. Come on, guys, help me out.
Go ahead, Pete.
Mark Kazak, Raging Oracle.
James,
my favorite name of all time. Tin Pang Dong.
Yes, I love it. James Ford. Mark Kazak, Raging Oracle.
There was like 8 million people in the chat tonight, so it's like impossible to name
Mr.
everybody.
Mayhem 69, Cliff Victoria, J2K, Leo Factor, Mo Beerman, Illinois Jones. Sophistication, Mary.
Swifty unsubbing tonight because I said I would trade Justin. That's how I feel right now, Swifty. Ask me in a week. In an hour. Oh, it'll change in a week. My opinions are allowed to change. Their opinions and opinions change.
AC
I'm
Adams,
a human being, damn it.
Brew Hall 7. Thanks for joining us, although you're late. I appreciate you. Retro
and your super chats. Thank you, my friend.
Doug Van Dorn, Skylark 99.
Mo Beerman.
CJ.
AC Adams.
CJ Williams. The new breed 313 Sports.
Skylark.
Stephen C. Robbie come up.
Robbie.
George Salikas.
PZ.
Joe Treviso.
Steve Zimmerman, our guest next week. I wish Foster wouldn't have fucked that up and had you all on at the same time again. That would have been better. Fucking Foster.
They are going to be on at the same time again, man. But
Tony Moy.
You, me, and Walt. It's
Okay,
going to be PJ and the Barroom guys.
Steve, me.
Zim's a good guy.
Was in here tonight.
Plank's always here.
Yep.
Appreciate you, Plank.
Steve, me. I appreciate you and having your opinions tonight, man, because you've always. I remember just seeing you like in the past, and you were fired up tonight, and we appreciate that. CJ, one of our multiple guests, we appreciate you, CJ. Jeremy Munoz.
Jerome.
My brother from another mother.
Jerome.
Illinois Jones. That's my brother now.
My brother from Peoria.
Man.
So Dan, before we go, can I do a little bit of a shameless plug here?
Of course.
Yes.
Please do.
Okay. Yeah. So, Shorty, you mentioned that, that I started my own channel here finally. I've been talking about this for a while. That's why I changed my name. So I'm going to put the link in chat here real quick. I don't know if it's going to come up. You can just copy and paste it. But if you can, guys, just do me a favor. Just watch the videos and just drop some comments on how I can improve on things, or even drop a like if you want, if you actually enjoy the content.
Tell them guys,
just do what I do. Leave Walt a nasty note. I usually do it under my alias, though.
Tell them the name of your channel, Walt.
So that's just what it is. It's into Huddle Chicago, and then I kept CB Sickles because you all know me as that, so I can't really change that. But right now it's just a couple highlight videos. There's actually I started working on a Marvin Harrison Jr. one today, right before he declared for the draft. So that'll be next one up. And I really appreciate it. Walt. I know guys like Mark. I know you already subscribed. I've seen your comments on there, so thank you very much. And it just means a lot, guys. So if you have a good time, thanks much.
Absolutely, man. Go check out Walt's new channel, In the Huddle, CB Sickles.
Yes, Walt does a good job.
Good videos.
Nice work, man. Nice work on those.
He does.
Excellent job, Walt.
He does a real good job.
Slick sophistication.
I just subbed.
Too, BJ. What'd you say, Joe?
I just subbed.
Cool.
There you go.
How much did he pay you?
Oh shit.
$7.
Tony Moy. Thanks for joining us tonight, Tony Moy. Slick sophistication.
I haven't seen Kiyu Kurito lately. Speaking of one of my favorite names.
KEU. It's actually KEU
Kurito, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
I saw him the other day somewhere. I don't remember where.
So I appreciate you guys in the chat. I really do. I mean, sorry I haven't been able to get to you guys as much as we have in the past, but yeah, because of our argument or debate earlier. I apologize that I wasn't able to get the things in the chat.
Man, it was about to come to fisticuffs until they pulled us.
Oh,
that hour 40 debate. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still going to come to fisticuffs. I'll just wait till I see him. That's all.
You guys, next time, if you pull this kind of crap, I'm just going to put it on pay-per-view, and you're going in the ring. I'm going to set it right up here. Loser ends up in my paneling.
It'll be PJ.
It'll be like Pacquiao and Mayweather.
It'll be like PJ and I we're playing like a video game. Like,
well, no, you guys are going to have to fight, and I'm leaving all my tools in the same room. You're going to have to. It's going to be more than just fighting because you're going to have to get around the obstacle course to beat the crap out of each other.
Hey, if you and I can have a fucking serious and open concept debate, PJ, and not hate each other, everyone in this chat can do the same thing, and everyone who is in other chats can do the same thing. We don't have to be disgusting, divided Bears fans. We are allowed to have our opinions, and your opinions are worthy. So are my opinions, and so are Joe's opinions, and so are Walt's opinions, and this guy, whoever this guy is over here, his opinion.
You notice how he leaves me out of that?
Yeah, the guy that half shaved his beard last week and it looks the damn same as it did last week. Yeah.
Steve Grunroll, thank you. Raging Oracle. I don't jump out the bushes with bleach. I jump out. I jump out with that. No, I jump out with.
Oh no, that's piss.
Where my bazooka at?
Shorty jumps out of the bushes with piss. Sorry.
With a jug of piss.
Is it better to jump out the bushes with a jug of piss or
hurl it out
in the bushes?
We'll leave. We won't even answer that. We'll just leave everybody to think about that for next week. We'll come back and get the replies.
Man.
Thanks, Joe, for coming on, man.
Leo Factor.
Happy to, guys.
Leo Factor and J2K for hopping in. Thank you guys. Great to see you. Eric Christensen just hopping in. Hello, fellas.
Yes.
Eric, we're sorry that we're signing off, but we appreciate you coming in.
Absolutely.
At least to see what was going on. Check out the rest of the show. It'll be available for you as soon as this show ends.
Yeah, go back, man.
Cliff Victoria.
Shorty and I had a heated debate earlier, so yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, Skip, there's about 50 minutes in there. You might want to just glaze over.
Yeah.
Zach Sullivan, CJ Williams, Rick Gonzalez.
Yes.
Rick Gonzalez from the we always talk in chat on the Shaw Local podcast, which used to have Hub Arkush, but since his heart attack, he's no longer on there. But we're always on there. So I was like, dude, come check out our show.
But to Shorty's point earlier, also, the point of having a debate, you can disagree with someone and not disrespect them. And that's one thing I'm grateful for, that Shorty and I can have that dialogue as well as anyone else here. And I that's what I encourage you guys, even in the chat. If you disagree with someone, do it respectfully to where you don't have to talk about them. You can talk about their argument or their point of the argument, but let's not make it personal to where you like degrading someone else that's not part of the argument.
Don't take it personal or make it personal is the point. Vernon Roseman, George Sekulis. Guys are awesome. We can just keep going on and on and on and on. Laz Plank was in here.
Chris Watts waking up.
Chris Watts is here. Oh,
he's waking up.
Good day, mate.
Good morning. Good morning, you bloody wanker.
Oh, what a wanker.
We were talking about you, Chris. I asked if you bought your London game tickets yet.
And you guys were freaking wasted at Aldo's house.
They were, man.
Oh, you was there, Joe?
Yeah.
Yep.
I wasn't wasted, but these guys were.
Get the fuck out of here, Joe. Get out of here, Joe. Wait, that's way too much information.
Joe, you gotta spill the beans, Joe. You gotta tell us what was going on, man.
Dude, let's just put it this way. It ended with Chris Watts going like this with a bottle of tequila.
Yep. Yeah,
You
there was
did
some
pretty good
drunken
on that
shenanigans.
clues yourself too. Sorry, Joe. Go.
I was saying there's some pretty drunken shenanigans. All I remember was when I was getting ready to leave, I went down into the basement, and like Shorty and Aldo, and I'm trying to remember who else. I think Cliff was maybe down there. And it just, the whole basement had a certain aroma. I'll let you guys imagine what it smelled like. I don't know.
I am so sorry I missed it, man.
That's what happens when you add that aroma to the alcohol. Yeah.
It was some sort of floral, medicinal scent. I don't know.
Man.
Thank you for finally putting the final piece together, Joe. That's what it was. Yes.
And then they blamed all the weed smoking on me. Oh, I said it out loud. Yeah, I did.
Someone in the chat said Retro said it sounds like a gay orgy. It basically was.
Whoa.
Whoa. It was yeah.
I wasn't.
I'm glad I wasn't there.
It was a bro fest. It was a bro fest orgy.
Jeez.
Who is the guy with Cliff? His buddy?
Sort of skunky Joe, he asks.
Yes. Who's Cliff's buddy? The other guy that was hammered.
Curtis. Curtis was the guy that Chris Watts was having the drinking contest with.
Yes, that dude was
and then Chris grabbed the bottle of tequila. He's just like, it's just guzzling it, man. It was like, oh my God, Chris.
Yeah, Curtis was at a different level of hammered.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun.
Continued that way. You should have seen him the next day at the game, man. Oh my God. Boy,
oh my God.
He just Chris sat in his chair in the parking lot going, oh.
I got on the train in the morning to go to the game, and I was still drunk. So I was just like, hey, what's up, guys? And like Chris gets out of the train, and he was just like, kill me. He was so fucking hungover. He just sat down on the train chair. The first thing out of his mouth was, fuck you, Foster. And I was like, what did Foster do? I'm like, Foster drove us there and back sober. You're saying fuck you, Foster?
He's sitting in the seat, and I'm taking pictures of these guys, and I'm sending text. I think I was sending text to Aldo, man. I'm like, these damn kids today really suck. And it's a picture. It's a picture of Chris and Shorty, like hunched over, sleeping on the train, man. Because I got to see a bunch of people puke, and I got to see people pissing on bushes, and I don't even drink, Joe.
All right, Joe.
Chris Watts got a very unique view of America.
No. Chris Watts challenged America with drinking. That's what
I know.
The problem was.
He won. He definitely won.
He did. Well, did he win? Did he win? He was in bad shape the next day.
He won by losing.
Yeah.
Does anyone really win?
Nobody knows this except me, because I forgot all about this and I wanted to talk to you about this, Shorty. So when I dropped you off at the train the night before the game, you were so hammered I thought you were going to get hit by the freaking train, because you walked into the train and the guy blew the horn and you backed up and went, what the fuck? I thought you were going to get hit by the train for a second, dude.
I was just testing you, Foster.
Swear to God. Jeez. I forgot all about that. I wanted to talk to you about that because it scared the crap out of me, man. I'm not kidding you.
I was just testing you.
You had plenty of distance, but I'm like, either fucking run or back up. And then the horn. And he just backed up. Scared the hell out of me, dude.
Raging Oracle want to know who got the face tattoo that night.
If it would have been anybody, it probably would have been Shorty.
let me show you the image that we're talking about the next day or that night on the train. This is this is us leaving Aldo's house on the train back home, Joe. That's me and Chris passed out. Look at me with my phone in my hand.
Who took this picture?
Foster did.
I was texting this stuff to Shorty and sending him the pictures as he was sleeping. And then I sent it to Aldo because I was waiting for him to wake up with his phone kept buzzing, but he didn't move, man. He didn't move. And
that's
so
awesome.
Picture that, and all of a sudden, Picture that, and they both kind of wake up, and Chris just looks over and goes, "Fuck you, Foster."
This needs to be in like National Geographic.
And here we have two Chicago Bears fans in the wilds of Chicago, inebriated as they sleep by day.
That's right.
Oh my goodness, that was a great night.
Oh, I haven't.
Too bad you don't remember it. No,
I haven't talked to Shorty since the game. What jersey did you wear for the game, Shorty?
The Green Bay game.
Yeah.
I wore the Shalom. It's 5-1 now.
Okay. All right.
garbage.
On the season.
Burn it, bomb.
You and your superstitions.
Right.
I was really like wondering if I should wear it, but I thought, well, it's the last game. If it jinxes it, it's okay. It's the last game. What does it matter? It's not gonna be the winning jersey for next year. That'll be another jersey, right?
Yes.
You won't need one, dude.
So
He'll
Chris
get his
Watts.
Caleb Williams jersey.
Chris Watts, are you and Jason UK going to the Bears game in London?
They just announced that today.
So, first in line.
Chris is like, yeah, I just bought the tickets. I'm all good to go.
Where do you think I'm checking in from? I'm the first one in line waiting. The tickets are going to be on sale in like 3 months. He's already standing there.
Hey, I ain't mad at him.
I'm thinking about getting a plane ticket to the UK and sleeping on Chris's couch and going to that game with him, though. I promise you that. I am thinking about it.
I just want to see Shorty drive on the other side of the road. I want to see how that would work out.
Oh my God, you should have seen him.
No.
He kept walking to my side.
Don't worry about it. I've seen him do it in Chicago. He messed his truck up here. So I mean, he could do that anywhere in the world.
You know what, Foster? I was hanging out with you right before that. That's your fucking fault, not mine.
Big sign says "Do not enter" on it.
Exactly. Exactly. If he's hitting big signs like that, come on.
There was no sign that said "Do not enter." There was not a sign, Chris, that said "Do not enter." Right? It looked like you were just going up a normal parking garage ramp until I ruined the roof of my truck.
He's
I've driven those in a truck, and I'm always sitting there looking up, waiting for it to see if I'm going to make it.
The funnier part is if you go on the website, it conveniently says, I was going to say, if you go on that hotel's website, it conveniently says on the main page, these parking garages.
Get the fuck out of here, Walt. That's enough.
Jordy said, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story here.
Exactly. Let's cut him off before he gets to the truth.
Did you have to close the gate yourself, too?
Yeah, well, no, when I came out, I did. Yeah, I had to open the gate to come out and then close the gate behind. No, I had to go tell them to close the gate behind me.
Yeah, if he had to drive in over there, he'll be wrecking up some stuff. That's all I'll say.
Go ahead. My goodness. That was fun, though. We had a great time. It was great hanging out with you and getting to meet you in person that night, Joe.
Hell yeah.
And, it's awesome to have you on with us tonight, man. We had a lot of fun.
I'll come back anytime, boys.
We'd love to have you anytime.
How tall are you, Joe?
He's like 6 foot.
I'm 6'1", yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
he's like my height too.
Okay, all right. I was just wondering.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I was just what? Where are you going with that, PJ? What are you wondering for?
I mean, you are the tallest guy on the show, so I was just wondering,
Oh, okay. I got it. Well, no, Joe's about my height.
Yeah, we're pretty similar. I'd have to go look back at that photo.
I thought you were 6'2" there, Shorty.
Yeah, but I'm getting old, so.
Oh my gosh,
like
man! Make up your mind. Gee, wait. You're tallest or you're not, man. Come on.
I used to be 6'2", man. I'm probably 6'1" now.
I was 6'2" when I had longer hair.
When you had a fro.
I did. I had like the really spiky hair when I was in high school.
Up to here, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like greaser-esque.
Now, Doug Van Dorn, he is old enough.
I had an afro once.
60, so he
when I was
actually
playing
shrunk.
basketball, they'd say, "Yep, Foster's 5'8", 5'11" with the afro." That way, I was a little taller,
So PJ, how tall are you again?
I'm 6 feet.
Oh, I'm actually taller than all of you. I'm 6'3".
Are you 6'3"? Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Get your ass out of here, Walt.
Man, Walt, hey, Walt will mess you up, man. You better leave Walt alone.
Walt can
You're
dunk on us
6'3".
all.
Yeah,
Could you dunk a basketball?
possibly.
I used to be able to.
I can. I got a step ladder right here.
Actually, more like a volleyball, but only because I couldn't palm the basketball.
Oh, shut the hell up.
Well, back in the day, I used to dunk, but those days are long gone now.
I was that tall kid that sucked the basketball. So
You see, Retro's really short. He's only 7 inches. Oh, that might be something else. Never mind.
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
Well, you guys in chat, you are all awesome. Chris Watts, we're happy to wake you up, or have you wake up with us, I should say. Hope you're having your tea and crumpets. You freaking British homo. Just kidding. You dandy boy.
What the world?
He's going into my line of comedy there.
That was a total joke between him and Chris and I. He knows I love him. He's my guy.
Obviously.
Love hanging out with you and chat. Chris, thanks for waking up with us, Chris. We're happy to be here for you.
Does he really want to be your guy?
Yeah. Guys, great show. Joe, thank you very much for joining us. We love you. We appreciate you. We cannot wait to have you back on again. And we'll get you right back into the lineup ASAP. We'd love to have all three of you again because I want to do that opener. I want to do that.
We'll do it
again. Yeah. Okay.
You guys in the chat, if you guys want to ever be a guest on our show, get a hold of us and we'll schedule you on. Foster's demand for that.
BearsCountryPodcast@gmail.com. BearsCountryPodcast@gmail.com. It's that simple. Let us know. Join us on the show. Come hang out with us. Talk some Bears. Laugh until your gut hurts. And you will not regret it. So thank you guys. Make sure that you tell all your friends. You like and subscribe. Set your notifications. It hurts. It hurts. It helps the channel. I was reading Curtis coming in. Curtis Searle is a newbie too. So thanks for joining us, Curtis.
Thanks, Curtis.
As we're signing off.
Appreciate you, Curtis. Thank you.
And like I said, subscribe, share the channel with your friends, and set your notifications. We're here at least every Thursday with this crew of fun guys. Love all of you guys. Joe, thanks for joining us. And we'll see you guys next Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern time on a 1, 2, 3 Bears. Let's end this shit. Ready? 1, 2, 3 Bears.
Bears.